Yo, what is going on, Papa fam? It's your boy Sunny, and we are back with a brand new series, Vibe Code with Me the Right Way, episode 1. This is live, don't worry, it's going to be up on the channel afterwards, but this whole series is dedicated to introducing you to AI, mastering AI, and it's going to be shaped by you. So if you're enjoying this stuff as you watch it, drop comments, let me know in the live chat. We're gonna dive into a full build today, and it's completely beginner friendly. This is gonna blow your mind. This has never been an easier time to get into coding. So let's go ahead and jump into the Indeed clone, episode 1 of Vibe Code with Me the Right Way. Welcome guys to the channel. It's your boy Sunny, and we're about to do something huge on this channel. I feel like we're gonna enter a whole nother era in this space right now, and I'm gonna lead it on this channel. Guys, say hello to the demo in 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and check it out. Boom. Hey, here we go. I love this. We've got Omash Texas. I love you, Sunny from Nigeria. I appreciate you, dude, so much. That positive energy. Guys, here we have, and this is ridiculous, right? When I tell you, like crazy magic, I see you, dude. I see you. Right, when I tell you guys that this build is incredibly massive, but it's never going to be easier to build it than today, trust me when I say this is going to open the doors for so many people, right? So here we have it, an Indeed clone. Now, don't worry about the clone itself. I want to show you guys, the clone itself is a tech demo of sorts, right? I want to show you and give you the different tools that you're going to need to go ahead and build anything that you want. Right, so this is going to be a little demo of the app, and then this is going to be our starting test project. And bear in mind, I have given you all of this code. If you go into the link in the description right now, there's literally a form. You fill it out, and I will send you access to the entire code base for absolutely free. Look, Vibe Code the Right Way, episode 1, Indeed clone. There you go. You guys can see it for yourself, right? We're going to call it Jobly, and as you can see, we can find jobs. It's also got an admin panel for the employers, and this is all possible thanks to today's amazing sponsor, Clerk. The more on them in just a bit, right? So let's go ahead and dive into things right now. So let's do a quick tech demo. So obviously, Indeed is a very popular app, right? So if we go ahead and click on browse jobs, we can go ahead and look for ourselves. We can see all of the, the different job opportunities that are out there, right? And also, as I'm doing this, let me know where you're watching from. I want the chat to be popping off today because I want so much different kinds of, this is going to be a whole different theme that I want to do today and change things up a bit, right? So let's go ahead and apply to one of these jobs. And as you can see, it says apply now and your profile will be shared. And look at this, it's already got a full profile. I mean, how the hell did it get that, right? 3 rows, 2 entries. Well, we've got a full entire backend system here. So let's go to edit my profile. And you can see, I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and do all of this so that you can have your full details. You can have literally like a LinkedIn style approach, right? So we've got senior front end, full stack developer, junior, and then you've got your education, your certification, skills, at a glance, and you can also do drag and drop file uploads as well. All of this is going to be, introduced. Hey, we got Australia, Macedonia, India. What's good, guys? Welcome to the stream. Keep on dropping where you're from right now. We've got Sri Lanka in the house as well. What is up, guys? Already hit 100 on live stream. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Smash that like button, right? We've got a few extra things in the house as well. So if we go to the job panel right now, we've got full search capabilities. So you can go ahead and literally just type in customer search, for example, customer success management. Let's say I want to save this one. We've got saving functionality, everything involved, even got a full notification system, right? So full notification panel, we can go ahead and access everything that we need. And of course, we've got access to Clerk's amazing side of things, right? Now, I took it a step further. Now, those jobs aren't just magically placed there, okay? Let's say you're a recruiter. In this case, I didn't just build a B2C app, which is what I just demoed you. No. We went way further, guys. We built a B2B multi-tenant hybrid app. Yes, I said all of those things in one sentence. And if you don't understand what those things are, don't worry. I'll explain everything today so that way you're comfortable with these terms and you can start moving forward in the space, right? So let's click on the For Employers tab, okay? Now you can see here, I've got a company dashboard. We've got a whole billing side of things. So in this case, you can actually have a full billing plan. Right now we are on the growth plan. I'm going to show you how to do all of this. Now, you might have heard of things such as like role-based permission access. If you've ever done any coding before, if you haven't, don't worry. Again, I'm going to explain everything to you. But the way it works is typically you have companies out there. These companies could be anyone. It could be Oracle, Microsoft, whoever it is. They could be small companies, big companies. It does not matter. But effectively, they have one account and then they have seats that people can log into on that account. And this is known as B2B sort of organizations, right? So I'm going to show you guys, here is an example of an organization. We can create several organizations inside of our app. I'm going to show you how you can do that, how you can have several seats and have limitations inside of it. and also how we can do the full things such as the invitation flow, all of that good stuff, right? So let's go over to our dashboard for a second. And let's just say, for example, I was going to invite, let's say I'm going to invite Jay, right? So I'm not going to out Jay for a second. I'm going to put his email in to the box right here, Gmail, and let's just do a row. I'm going to just scoot down here so you can kind of hide it. Otherwise, he's going to kill me. If we click on the row right now, we've got the member, admin, and the recruiter, right? So in this case, member is just a member who can view things. We've got admin that can do everything. And then we've got recruiter who can do things like create job openings and that kind of stuff, right? Oh, Jay said it's fine, guys. So you guys, you know what? I'm going to show his email. This is what it is. There you go. Thank you, Jay. All right, so let's go ahead and firstly give Jay, let's say member access, right? So if we click on send invitation, now that's going to send an invitation over to Jay. Now we can do it from here, and we can also do it from, if we go over here into our manage organizations panel, we can now see that there is an invitation out for Jay. See, as a member role. Now, these members, recruiters, admins, all of these good things right here have access restrictions. So let's say, for example, this user is an admin, okay? So they're able to do everything. They can manage the billing. They can go ahead and create job applications. So in this case, we can see all of the different jobs that are listed for this company, which ones are closed. We can even click on the applications themselves and see inside of here who the applicants are. When I tell you guys, this is a full build, it's incredible. And it's never been easier to do this. We have advanced filtering for the highest plan. We can also go ahead and create a new job opening like so. Even have auto close after the first accepted applicant, right? So you guys can see for yourself, this is ridiculously big. This is a huge app. And I give it to you for entirely free at the beginning, right? So you guys can see for yourselves, if we go ahead and review applications, let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and review all of the different jobs that we have open, okay? So in this case, we've got a few different jobs, and like backend engineer. I can see loads of people have applied for this job. And in this case, we've accepted 2. Right? We've accepted 2 different people for the job, and you can see how we can move them to review, reject the candidates, and so forth. If people withdraw their application, we can do all of that. Everything is going to be covered today inside of this build, right? But we're doing something which is incredibly different from usual, right? Usually I would do things manually, line by line coding. I'm going to show you the way that the true reality of the space is going. We're going to be effectively, when I say vibe coding, I'm going to show you the correct way of understanding what a vibe coding is, okay? We're not going to be doing the whole vibe coding where you're doing it in the wrong way and you don't understand what's going on. I'm going to explain everything. You're going to know everything that you should know when you're doing AI assisted coding, okay? And it's going to make you an absolute monster, I promise you, right? So in this case, we've also got notifications for the different users, but I want to show you again one more thing, the restriction side. So if we go to the employer panel right now, this member I believe is a recruiter. So you see how they cannot manage the billing side of things, right? But they can create a new job, right? So in this case, if I was to restrict that user, let's go over to, I'm switching between different user memberships. So this user, I'm going to change his status to a member now, okay? Now if I go back over here, now he's a member. You see how we suddenly can only have visibility over the jobs. We can't create new job openings. So this has full role-based access control, okay? Now, you might be wondering, well, how the hell are we gonna do all of this, right? Well, thanks to the guys over at Clerk, it's actually incredibly easy, right? So I'm gonna show you guys over at Clerk. Head over to clerk.com, see for yourselves. And also, yes, this video is sponsored. It helps me do stuff like this for absolutely free. So that is literally the reality of things. But I promise you this, I will never use another different service for stuff like this. Like, it makes it so easy to do B2C, B2B apps, authentication, billing, the entire flow, right? So if we go down here, you can see all of the authentication methods out of the box handled for us. I'm talking like the multi-factor, the SMS, the one-time passcodes, all of that stuff is just so easy inside of Clerk. And we have multi-tenancy. Now, if you don't know what multi-tenancy is, like I explained before, when you have organizations, this is big companies with several seats, you know, like the true enterprise level stuff that you're going to be building effectively, that is effectively what we have here with multi-tenancy, right? So it's absolutely a crazy thing to build that from scratch. So these guys over at Clerk have made it so incredibly easy. And we also have all of the payment flow included inside of today's build. And the best part, you don't have to do a single Stripe webhook. So it's nuts what we're going to cover today. We're obviously going to be using AI coding because this is a vibe coding tutorial. So I'm going to show you guys everything that I know and how I work in today's world. So in this case, if we type in simply Clerk with AI, I want you guys to get used to just following me along in a very, you know, it's going to be more of a sit down together approach. So if we click on using Clerk with AI, This is what we're going to jump into, Clerk skills and the MCP server. I'm going to explain what skills are, what the MCP server is, how they go ahead and literally dial up your cursor, whatever you're using, IDE, Claude Code, cursor, whatever it might be. But it's going to be an awesome tutorial, okay? So let's go ahead and break things down. I want to go ahead and just open up an easel right now so we can start drawing things out. And make sure if you want access to the code, while I'm talking, explaining things around, I want you to go ahead and fill out that form. And then I'm going to send you everything that you need to know, right? And also remember, this is a series. So based on every bit of feedback that you guys give me, whether it's the live chat, whether it's the comments, whatever it might be, that is what each episode is going to be based on. So this is down to literally whatever you guys want on this channel. You now have creative freedom to tell me that. And I'm going to be basically shifting the series in that direction all around the AI space, because that is the way we're moving. Okay. So fill this out, get access to the code, and then follow me, okay? So in this case, let's talk about, usually I talk about the tech stack, right? I'm going to do a very brief tech stack introduction because I want you guys to understand different high-level fundamentals, okay? You know what? In fact, let's change it up today. We're going to say what you need to know, okay? And the reason why I'm going to teach like this is because this is effectively how I teach inside of my coaching programs, right? So you can feel free to check it all out. Those are in the description down below. But I'm going to show you guys how I effectively teach, and we're going to simply take it in that approach. So let's go ahead and do this right now. Oh yeah, Jace actually sent me an email okay, that's cool. We can show that afterwards. Yeah. So in this case, we are of course building with Next.js. Okay. So when you are vibe coding, your vibe coding platform, it's going to be very important to understand what the fundamentals are. Yes, AI can code for us, but you need to know what you're doing. It's like saying, let's just assume AI could, it had real life hands and it could do things in the real world. It's like, but go and build a house. Okay, out of what? Are we saying out of straw? Are we saying out of brick? What are we building a house out of? It's the same with software, right? It's the same with anything. No matter what you use AI with, whether it's automations, whether it's whatever it is, you need to know the fundamentals of what you're going to be building underneath it. So Next.js 16 is what we do in the web space. It's performant, it's fast, it scales, and I've done tons of production apps with it. It's the king, in my opinion. Okay. Underneath this is something known as React. Okay. So when we do let AI code for us, this is effectively the library that it's going to be coding, and this is the framework that it's going to be coding. Okay. And we steer it. We start steering it in this direction, right? So in this case, we've got these two. When we style things, we have something called Tailwind CSS. Now, typically the way that it used to work before is you would go ahead and use Tailwind CSS. You would code every single thing manually, right? But don't get me wrong, Tailwind CSS made it a lot easier. But then came along something called shadcn, right? Shadcn is a very, very nice, very opinionated library. So in this case, if we say shadcn here, go to the components over here. What's up, guys? I can see you in the chat. Nicola, I see you guys. Son of Code, I absolutely appreciate you. You're incredible, dude. I love your energy in this chat. Right. So in this case, you can see here, we have the foundation of your design system. And just to shout out to these guys as well, because they've been going through it at the moment and they are absolutely incredible. They have an awesome community behind them, and they're literally AI first. So they have MCP servers you can go ahead and tap into and use. We're going to do all of this today, right? So in this case, back over to the board, what you need to know. So let's just kind of jump through a few of the things very quickly. We've got the Clerk side of things, and Clerk is going to be how we handle our authentication as well as our billing, okay? So effectively with these, we have everything, right? The final piece of the puzzle is the database. Now, again, we're going to use Convex today, but this is the point that I'm trying to make today, okay? You can hot swap things out if you want to. Absolutely fine. I'm showing you what we're using today, but if you like a certain database, absolutely fine. The only reason why I show Clerk is one, I'm a partner of Clerk and I love them because they're absolutely incredible. I've literally grown with this brand. They're absolutely amazing from what they started at, and they handle things for us in the best way possible. And they're the exact same price as Stripe, by the way. So in case you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go Stripe and build everything and save money, guys, it's the exact same price as Stripe. So you'd be crazy not to, in my opinion, and it saves you a ton of work. You should be building incredible apps, not focusing on rebuilding parts of it, right? So we've got an awesome question here. Nicola says, hey, Sonny, would it be possible to do a live video about the journey from junior to intermediate, intermediate to senior architecture, CI and deployment owning projects? You know what? I do talk about this stuff inside of our courses and community. Right now, we are in the process of launching a new community. So all I recommend is if you want to know that high level knowledge, then please do all I ask is get the code for free and you'll get added to an email list. And then I'll send you out the code for today's build as well, which is amazing for you. And then make sure you go ahead and just stay tuned on your inbox, because we're very close to doing exactly what you just asked for inside of a community where we can scale that and we can do that at the quality that it deserves. And we tend to do it in Zoom calls, okay? So at this point now, what do you need to know in the AI side of things, right? Typically before, it was manual coding, right? So before, we used to do tons of manual coding, okay? And I heard your feedback on the channel. Sunny, this isn't how people are coding anymore. Sunny, do you even code like this? And the truth is, guys, the reality is that no, it's moving a lot more towards automated coding now. So does that mean that the jobs are getting replaced? No, absolutely not. If anything, it's just changing the way that we should be thinking. Also, welcome to the Papa Fam social tier, Moba Heat. I appreciate you so much. Right? What platforms are we going to use for Vibe? Yep, I'll jump into that right now. Okay. So before we used to manual code, we used to do a lot of things like that. Now, what is the same as before, as before, right? So we'll say, let's just say after AI. Okay. So before and then after AI. Okay. So this is the before line and the afterwards line. So now the things that remain the same, architecture. Okay. Yes, we can talk to AI about how to use it, right? Or how to build our platform, but you still need to know your architecture. You still need to know how the correct way to go ahead and build something. Okay. Because you can tell AI to build you, a WhatsApp app right now, and it could build it in 10 million different ways. Okay. The architecture, the underlying tech, and also the fundamentals. Why does this matter? Most of the time, and I really want to bring attention to this, guys, because there's so many people that are using AI coding platforms right now, thinking that just because you build a front end, that is a production app. Guys, I promise you this. The reality is that when you get more customers and you get more database usage, you get more API calls, you get lots of stuff going on in your app at the simplest level, that is when the problems will arise. So you won't have a problem when it's just you testing your app or you're showing your mom or your friend. But when you go into production land, you're going to be screwed with stuff that is going to riddle your app in bugs. Okay. So you need to know the fundamentals. And what does that mean? Is that when AI writes our code, what should we ask AI to, maybe we don't even review our own code. Maybe we get AI to do it. I'm going to show you all my techniques today, but you need to know what to look for in the first place. It's like if AI built a house somehow, if let's say it could do that, if it built a house, you could pretty much be like, okay, if you knew what you were doing, okay, I want you to go ahead and nitpick all of these little gaps. Maybe there's like holes in the wall or this or that. But let's say I've never built a house in my life before and I see a straw house come out. Guys, that person's going to be excited. They've never built a house before in their entire life. You see the point. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to get impressed by the most basic stuff. Don't be that sucker. Understand what you're doing, and then you can really layer this up and it can be incredibly powerful. Okay. Now let's talk about tooling. So you have lots of IDEs, right? Let's call them the AI IDEs to keep it simple. We can use things like Cursor is what we're going to use today. It's an amazing IDE, right? And no, we're not sponsored by Cursor, okay? You can use VS Code with GitHub Copilot. You can use Claude Code, right? You can even use, there's lots of platforms. There's Kiro, there's a few of them, right? But in this case, we're going to go ahead and jump into Cursor. Now, my only feedback that I would say here is you've also got Windsurf and Kiro and stuff like that. So I'll just drop them here. Windsurf, Kiro, a few other areas, right? Now, with these, lots of them are IDEs. They have like, a kind of a UI that you can work with. But Claude Code is the only one that a lot of people are using. And it's definitely good, by the way. But Claude Code has a problem. Oh yeah, anti-gravity as well. I'd write that one down. Sorry, guys. Good stuff. This is why the chat is important, right? We need the community popping off like this, right? Claude Code is the one that I want to mention today, because a lot of you are using this, but the problem with Claude Code is if you don't know your fundamentals well, or you don't know what you're doing, it's very hard to actually visually understand what the hell is going on in that code base. That's the problem that I have with a lot of students that we're teaching right now, is that they're using AI and they're moving fast, but they're just what we call in the AI side of things is AI slop. Right? And the problem with AI slop is it leads to those earlier principles, architecture and your fundamentals failing. And you don't need that to happen, right? Because you don't want the headache of that, I promise you. So in this case, once you get good at understanding these things, sure, you can use Claude Code, right? But don't make the mistake of skipping over the visual IDEs because you can have 6 Claude Code terminals, right? I do parallel terminals at times, but I can promise you this, I'm absolutely checking every single one, okay? So make sure you follow along today and understand the little things that I'm doing. And please ask questions. Like my whole goal is to revive this community in another way. The Papa Fam is back in full power in the AI space. And I want you guys to ask as many questions as you want. I'll literally sit here and answer your questions for the next hours if it has to be, okay? So all I ask is you destroy that like button, and we're already at 200 people across platforms. It's absolutely so sick. Honestly, welcome back, guys, okay? So let's start diving into things, okay? Now, I want to show you guys firstly as well, let's dive into a deep dive here. And let me know, are you enjoying this kind of content right now? Right? If you are, then just like I said, destroy that like button, okay? So let me know, do you like more visual talking, or do you like, want to dive into it? But AI has lots of things around it, okay? So in this case, let's just go ahead and put this around here, okay? So AI, at the core of AI, we have models, okay? Forgive my lovely drawing, okay? At the core of AI, we have an LLM. Now that is effectively what you know as ChatGPT. So it could be, for example, GPT 5.3 Codex, right? These are your LLMs, right? You've got GPT 5.3 Codex. You've got things like Claude, Opus 4.6. You've got Sonnet 4.6, Haiku, all of these different models. You've got Minimax, Kimi 2.5, all of these things, okay? The main thing that you need to understand right now is, firstly, what's your budget, right? What is your budget? That's the main thing. Like, if you can afford to use Claude Opus 4.6, which at this point in time, in my opinion, is the king next to 5.3 Codex. They both have their pros and cons. 5.3 Codex is a lot more, I feel, cost effective, but if you have the means to do so, Opus 4.6 is still a king in this space, right? Then, of course, you have things like Gemini. You can go ahead and mess around with so many of them, okay? But the point is there is one to suit you depending on which budget you're on. Just understand that each one is more expensive because they may be more powerful, okay? And each one has different models. So let's just kind of, take these two, for example, okay? Now, when you use an LLM, there's many ways to use an LLM as well, right? You have different things. You have reasoning, right? You can turn reasoning on or off. What is reasoning, right? Reasoning is when you ask your AI something, a question, does it think, right? Does it have that thinking prompt, where it's kind of thinking something is happening or something is not happening? That is known as reasoning, okay? Now, with a lot of these new models, you also have a level of effort, okay? Now, the effort could be something like low, medium, high, extreme, and so forth. Like each one has their own little kind of, term to it. But the point is that just understand that, when sometimes you might hear the term, AI is so expensive. Oh my God, I burned through all my tokens. Yeah, because you might have had reasoning on at extreme by default. And then next thing you know, your AI is working for hours, spending money that maybe you weren't anticipating. So you see, you need to understand what you're using and what task are you doing. And things like, for example, OpenClaw, there's different ways that you can go ahead and have different agents on different models, and then it can make things a lot more, cost effective. And yes, I'm using OpenClaw to the max right now. I have like 10 agents doing crazy stuff for me. So if you want to know about that, subscribe and hit the like button, okay? So this is the base of LLM, of AI, right, at the moment. Now, we've got some very cool, important principles, right, that I want you to understand. Okay, the first is the context window. Okay, the context window. What is the context window, right? When we talk to AI, this context window, let's just say, for example, many of them typically have like 200,000, in a context window, right? And then Opus 4.6, I think 5.3, I'm not sure if 5.3 has it yet, but 4.6 can go up to something like, 1 million. For example, tokens, okay? So a context window is basically, if I'm having a chat with you right now, let's say you're the AI, I'm the human, okay? We're having a chat right now, and I keep talking to you about things, we're gonna build something off, right? Like what's happening is your context window is slowly filling up with all this information. And it's not just the chat, it's a few other things. It could be tooling, it could be different calls that it makes on the webs and all that kind of stuff, right? So when you fill up that context window, you need to understand that sometimes if you go past the limit, let's say, for example, I reach 200,000, the context window limit, then it will try to summarize sometimes because it needs to reset its context window. And even worse for a lot of people right now, where you have 1 million tokens, that could be, oh my God, we have more of a context window. That's a great thing, right? But the problem with that is the second you go over 200K tokens, I guarantee 95% of the people that are doing that don't even realize they're at 200K tokens. They're just kind of continuing the chat on. What you should be doing there is resetting your context window and then chatting, because what's happening between 200K to 1 million is your API cost doubles every request, and the requests are getting bigger and bigger, which is why you're burning through cash like no tomorrow. So you see, there's just ways that you need to understand. And this is the problem right now. No one is talking about this. And this is what this community is going to address. And you guys are going to be masters of this stuff. I promise you. Okay. So we have the context window. Okay. So that's going to be the first principle. And we're going to go over all of those things today as well. The next thing is when you typically have something called a rules file, this is basically the AI rules. Now, a lot of you will know what this is. So this is like, do this, don't do this to you. You're giving your AI certain rules. And think of it like we're going to call our AI, for example, in this case, Henry, right? So Henry is our AI. Now we tell Henry, don't write code in this certain way. I like my code written in this way, this way, this way. That is, we can put that into a rules file. Now different, IDEs have different ways of doing it. Claude code has a claude.md file. A Cursor has an agents.md file and so forth. The problem is that what was happening is the rules files was getting so big. So every new conversation that you had already a big context, right? From the get-go, before you even talk to it, because every single time it loaded this huge rules file inside of it. And think about it, every time we talk to AI, we don't necessarily need it to have every single thing that we tell it about. For example, my AI could be an expert at marketing, coding, video editing, whatever it could be. I don't need it to be a video editing expert when I'm talking about coding. It's silly. So what they did was they came up with a few things. They came up with skills. Skills are awesome. Basically, skills are, think of them like kind of like wrapped up rules, right? So think of them like in a short way. I'm going to explain it in like simple terms. Think of them like wrapped up rules, but they only get called. Yeah, they only get called when needed. And why is this such a big thing? Because skills, because they're wrapped up rules that only get called when they're needed, they don't bloat your context window out. So now you fix the problem. Now you can have several things inside of your agent's context window, but it's only going to go ahead and pull that skill when it needs it. Okay, that's the first thing. So skills were an absolute game changer inside of things. Then, for example, we started getting things like MCP was actually before that. And an MCP is basically where you have, for example, when we're coding, we tend to use something called APIs. Now, let's say there's lots of companies out there in the world. There's Amazons, there's Stripes, there's Convex. There's so many companies that we use. These are called third parties, right? What we do a lot of the time is we talk to a company with our code. We use something called an API, and an API is basically a layer between us and the company, right? We communicate via an API. AI could do this, but there's understanding problems, right? Which functions does it know that it can send? Is it using the right requests? Things might get updated and so forth. So to fix this, there was something that Claude came up with. Anthropic actually came up with it, I believe. And it's basically called Model Context Protocol. And basically it's a standard where everyone builds servers in a way known as MCP servers. And what that does is effectively you have a company, they have all of their tooling on the back end. So this is how you create a Stripe payment. This is how you check on a Stripe membership. This is how you cancel a user. And then what they do is they wrap it inside of an MCP server. And now they expose this to the web, right? And now what your agent can do is your agent can say, hey, I see the Stripe MCP server over there. I'm going to connect to it. And suddenly I get all of the tools from Stripe. And these can be authenticated tools as well, right? So now it can create users for my business. It can charge users on behalf of my business and so forth. So it's huge, okay? So using MCP servers is a very, very powerful thing. So now we've got these skills, these MCP servers, and this is the basis of what can make our agents very, very smart in what they do. Okay, so let's just say this one is third-party tooling. Okay, let's just say third-party tooling. It's a way to get third-party tooling. Okay. Now, what a lot of places are doing now is they're wrapping skills, MCPs, and effectively rules into something called plugins. So you might have seen this on your IDEs lately, plugins. So now what you can do is you can simply install a plugin and you'll get a bunch of skills and a bunch of MCP server stuff automatically pulled into your IDE. So this is the way that the AI space is going. And it's moving down fast, guys. It's moving really quick. This is why I want to kind of create, a platform like this where you can go ahead and tune in to every episode and figure out, okay, where am I at right now in the AI space? And also, like I said before, we have a whole community where we teach you exactly how to do all of this agentic stuff. All you have to do to become a part of it is literally sign up and get the code today. Right? So you put your name, your email in for free, submit it. I'll give you the code for free. And now you're on the waiting list for that new community. And it's going to be launching literally extremely soon. So go ahead and do that right now if you haven't already. And let's go ahead and dive into today's build. Now, the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and tell you everything today is absolutely free because we have incredible sponsors like Clerk, okay? So they're an incredible company. We work with them because we believe in them. I wouldn't put anything in front of you that I don't believe in. So all I ask is that through this tutorial, you please just go ahead and use that tutorial, that link in the description, which will take you to this page right here. And that just allows Clerk to understand that you came from the Papa fam. And that allows me to keeping these videos for absolutely free, okay? So we're gonna do that right now. I click the link in the description And then I went ahead and clicked on a sign up method. So I'm going to go ahead and create my Clerk account right now. This is going to power up our authentication, our billing, all of that stuff. Okay. So I've got an account already. So I'm going to go ahead and use my personal account. Let's go ahead and log in. And also let me know, do you like the visual explanations? Like how are you guys liking me teaching AI? I'm really telling you, like, this is going to be something I want you guys to be heavily involved in. Okay. So next up, we're going to create an application. So we're going to call this one Jobly website. Let's just call it Jobly job site. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and, you can enable whatever authentication method you want. That's what I love about Clerk. It's so simple to do this. Let's go ahead and create an application. Okay. Now the next step is we need to go ahead and set up our app. Okay. Now there's loads of ways we can do this. We can use create next app, which is a templated CLI command. We can use Convex's CLI command. There's lots of different ways. We can even tell it an AI to do it from scratch. My favorite way, if we're going to use Convex and Clerk, is actually the following way. Okay. So what I like to do is go over to Convex, and Convex is an awesome database site. So in this case, it's basically, well, it's more than a database. They do a ton of stuff. But I'm going to show you. So go to Convex, and also I've included a link in the description. It helps me just have more resources, so I can keep making lots of this stuff for you. Go ahead and what we want to do is we actually want to go to the Convex homepage. So go to the Convex, just type in Convex, reach convex.dev, and now this is where we want to go to documentation, getting started, and then we want to click on Next.js. And also look at this, look, prompt to start an app with Convex Chef. So you can even check out stuff like this, right? So again, they're typically like these inbuilt ones. So we click on Next.js, and now let's go ahead and do the following. So this is if you've already created an app, but in this case, we're just going to use this, right? npm create convex at latest. Okay. Now the easy way of doing this is let's go back over to our code. I'm going to use the warp terminal right now. I really like the warp terminal. It's been awesome for us. Let's do, I like to put inside of my documents. So let's do documents builds. And then I'm going to do npm create convex at latest. Okay. Now, again, you can use PM, DLX, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to keep it simple today and use npm create convex at latest. Right. So, and this is going to go ahead and ask me for a name. Let's call this one the Jobly Job YouTube app. Okay. Lovely name. Right. Let's do Next.js app router. And then look here, choose user authentication. We're using Clerk. So it's already going to set the whole base for us up, right? So Clerk, and that's pretty much as easy as it gets to go ahead and get things set up. Also, let me know, is the music a bit jarring, or do you want me to put something a bit more chilling on? Let's do some like lo-fi. Let's type in, let me do like lo-fi while that's installing. Lo-fi beats essentials, introvert radio. I like this one. Okay. There we go. Now we can kind of vibe together, get into it, start coding with each other, right? Nico says, Sunny, last question. I've been using Cursor this past year after building a hook component. I asked it to refactor for SRP, modular architecture, atomic designs, and modern React practices. Good approach. Yeah, not a bad approach. The thing is I'll show you a really good way that you can even do an even better approach than that. Okay, so stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, let's CD into the app. You see it's created. So what we're going to do now is I've already installed Cursor. So I'm going to type in cursor dot. Okay. Now Cursor, for anyone who's not aware, is literally just a coding IDE. Okay. Again, I'm not sponsored by Cursor. It's just an awesome platform. It doesn't show you, but anyway, it's basically just, it's an AI assisted integrated development environment. Basically, it started off as essentially a VS Code wrapper, and then it just got really big. Okay. So in this case, let's close my warp. Let's open this up, and I'm going to just prepare my environment a little bit so we can code nicely. Okay. So couple of things you need to know. Command I opens the agent tab. Command B opens the side tab. Command J opens the terminal. Okay, so a couple of shortcuts. Now, typically, if I'm looking at code, for example, let's just say I'm in here, right? And I'm coding away. This view is one view, right? And this is what I like to call my active editor view. Okay, but what I want you guys to get familiar with is that Cursor has two views. Okay, and I typically jump between the two. So I'll press Command E, and I'll jump into the agent view. And you see how it kind of like flips, right? So now if I do Command B, you see how that's on the other side now. And then if you go over here, you can have multiple agent sessions, okay? So this is really cool because now if I'm in my agent flow and I'm kind of talking away, letting it code, I can do it this way. If I do Command E, now I feel like I'm back in my manual check things approach. So you can have effectively two different views. And if you ever forget what the command is, you can just go here, let's switch to agent layout, and then you can go back to the regular layout, right? Or, Command D, right? So a couple of shortcuts to let you guys get up to speed. Now, the next step that we're going to do is install those things that I mentioned earlier. Okay. So we're going to type in Clerk with AI. Okay. Using Clerk with AI. Right. And let's go ahead and do this right here. So they've got a bunch of skills, installable packages that give AI coding agents specialized knowledge about Clerk. Once installed, agents can help add authentication, manage organizations, sync users, and more. Now you could do this yourself. You can even open this inside of each of your IDEs like so, right? But in this case, we're just going to do this manually together. Okay, so we're going to go back over here. We're going to go ahead and do Command J, and we're going to paste in this, right? And I just want to check something. For some reason, mine hasn't done a Git in it, so I'm just going to do that right now. You don't need to worry about that. Yours typically should do that. So I'm going to do Command I, Command B. And I'm going to paste in this MPX skills, add Clerk skills, right? Also, guys, we've got over 200 people watching right now across platforms. I appreciate everyone. I just want to say thank you. If you're enjoying the content and you like the AI side that we're moving into, do me a solid and destroy that thumbs up button. Jay, keep me updated with the likes. It helps this channel grow a ton, right? We're going to click on OK to proceed. And as you can see now, this is what we get asked. Please select the skills to install. So I'm going to go down, spacebar, spacebar, spacebar. I'm going to install all of these, right? And you can see, look, this is the one that's going to be interesting today. Clerk Orgs, Clerk Organizations for B2B SaaS, create multi-tenant apps, right? So we're going to go ahead and hit enter now. And you can see I've got a bunch of things inside of my, coding environments, but I go down and I want to go to cursor. So we got Claude code, client, command, and where is cursor? I think I've already installed it then. Universal, always included. Okay, so these are always included, yeah. So in this case, we just hit enter. And we want to do, you can either do globally if you want to use it across. So I recommend you do globally. Today, I'm going to do project just to show you what they create inside of our project. So I'm going to click on project and I'm going to do symlink. So this is where you copy it, and that's not really efficient in space. So symlink means you just you place it in one location and you just like copy the link to it in others, right? So symlink, and then we do proceed with installation. And you can see they actually also do prompt injection scans. So in this case, it's pretty secure. Installation complete, and now it's done. If we go over here, we can now see inside of a cursor folder, you guys can see we've got this cursor rules file, but also in agents, this is the one. So skills, and so they've actually, Convex already added a Convex rules file. So in that starter template, this is a rules file all about how to use Convex. And as you can see in a rules file, they're typically .mdc files. It says apply to specific files. So this is going to apply to all of the files that include this stuff. Now you can also do imply intelligently, and I can say only apply this when I'm using Convex stuff. But it's very clever as well. It knows that because of the description, the AI knows, okay, I should probably apply this when we're using Convex, building a Convex project or database schema stuff or queries or mutations or whatnot, okay? Now, if we look inside of a Clerk skill, let's look inside a Clerk right now. We can see the Clerk MD. So you look, Clerk authentication router, all this stuff, exactly, basically is teaching our agent exactly what these are. So in this case, look, Clerk setup, if we go to skill.md, this one teaches your agent how to set things up perfectly and exactly how to do it, what to do, what not to do, examples, instructions, and so forth. So this is what a lot of people are skipping out on, and this is why you get an AI slop. So you see, it took us 2 seconds to do that, right? So we're going to close these up. We've already got a bunch of awesome cursors. We've got the Convex skills. We've got agent skills. The next step is let's install a Clerk MCP server, right? So let's click on connect to Clerk's MCP server, go down, and depending on what platform you are, they've got different instructions, but they're all effectively the same. We just click on add to cursor here. Cursor is the easiest one. Open cursor. And just like that, guys, I can see, look, Clerk, and we've got mcp.clerk.com/MCP, right? We click on install. And now you can see I've got a Clerk one. Now, I've got a bunch of MCPs, so I'm going to disable a couple that we don't need. Yes, I'm using OpenClaw a lot. And as you can see, remember I told you about those tools that come in? So in this case, we can go ahead and click on this. And look, we get some snippets, which are handy for us. And we also get a bunch of tool calls, right? So look, user button component. These are all different tool calls that it can use. And in this case, even here, we've got like 12 different tool calls. And this is amazing because now, when we're talking to our agent, it can actually go into our Convex database and actually figure out where the user is, what is going on in the Convex database. It's a game changer if you've never used this stuff, okay? Now, if we go to plugins over here, this is what I was talking about earlier. See, look, extend cursor with skills, rules, agents, hooks, and MCP. Hooks, by the way, I kind of didn't mention, but hooks are effectively to give you a one-liner, they basically let you run custom scripts at specific points. So a hook will run either before, agent execution or after agent execution. You can basically modify the behavior. For example, let's say an agent does some work, and every time it finishes doing its work, I want it to format the file. We can add a lint or a format hook at the end of it. So it will go ahead and make sure that it goes ahead and does that. So a few things like that, pretty handy, okay? So let's go back into plugins. Now you can install any one that you want, right? So in this case, a couple of the ones that I would recommend you guys do, if we go to the marketplace over here at the bottom, right, you guys can see I've installed Slack, Figma, Linear, Vercel, Stripe, Notion, a bunch of these, right? They did it. Yes, I literally told Clerk the other day, you need to go ahead and add one here. And guys, look, there it is. So you didn't even have to do the step I did earlier, by the way. You can come here, click on add to cursor, and they did it. Amazing. So I literally messaged yesterday and they did it. Nice. So let's go add for myself. I'm going to add it actually globally. Nice. So now we've got all of the skills that I showed you earlier, plus the MCP. That's awesome, right? And then if we go back over, let's go ahead and go back into our cursor settings. And then I want to go back to the marketplace and show you guys more. So we've got that one. I also want you to get the Convex one. So we've already got this one right here, Convex, right? And you see sub-agents. It also gives us some sub-agent ruling, which is really cool, right? So this is basically like a reviewer, an advisor for if we did it correctly. And look, there's quite a lot inside of here, guys. There's a hook, an MTP, 19 rules, 2 sub-agents, and 7 skills, okay? So this is really like powering up our agents, right? So we got that, we got the Clerk one installed, awesome stuff. So we're basically set. We've got the 2 that we need. The others that I'd recommend you mess around with is agent orchestration down here and all plugins. So continual learning is very cool. You can look at it yourself. Basically, it helps it learn your preferences just from observing what you do and basically iterating on it. The team kit is a cool one. You can look at that yourself. And also a couple of these like Parallel, right? So Parallel is awesome because it's web search, content extraction. It basically allows things to execute in parallel, like different AI agents, okay? Now, before we dive into the coding, I want to mention that yes, I am on the Cursor Ultra plan. Now, I pay $200 a month for a Cursor Ultra plan, right? You don't have to do that, by the way, okay? So I'll show you openly the way I do it. So in this case, cursor settings, I'm just going to double check that my card isn't here. So if I went over here, you can't see, yeah, that's fine. Just need to check that. Okay, so you can see I'm on the Ultra plan. You don't have to pay $200 a month, guys. Remember, you do not have to pay $200 a month. You can pay whatever plan that suits you best, okay? And you can also give it your own API keys. But what I recommend is before you go ahead and spend on an API key, don't do that. Either join Claude Code's max plan, or if you're using Cursor, join Cursor's plans, because you typically get way better usage limits when you use a plan as opposed to a direct API key. Direct API keys are way more expensive than the plans. Okay, this is why they make the plans, right? Now, I want you to also pay attention to, on the Ultra $200 plan, it's very cheap, by the way, for what you get, right? You see, Auto and Composer I barely use it. And a lot of the time, I tend to use my Opus 4.6, which is why I'm using up my quota here, okay? And then On Demand is if it goes over, I can set a limit to say, yeah, I'm happy to spend XYZ amount afterwards, okay? But the way I want you to think about this is it's more a case of yes, we're using AI. AI is not free. Now, of course, you can also use a Gemini key if you wanted to. If you went into here, you can go ahead and also put in your own key. So I believe it was plans and usage. There's a way to do it. You can feel free to check it out yourself, but there's a way to go ahead and put in your own keys, the API keys here. So you can go ahead and actually give your own API keys like Google's Gemini key, Azure, Bedrock, all that good stuff. Okay, and they'll go ahead and use that. That's why it's not using mine. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh, no, it wasn't. It's not on. Okay. That's fine. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into our vibe coding, right? So in this case now, what I want to do is I'll show you the demo on this screen and we're going to go back and forth. So let's say, for example, this is the app that we want to build and I've killed the app. That's a great start. Let's go ahead and restart the app. So I'm going to restart it on my other machine. But before I do, I want to have npm dev. Also, okay, right now we're on package lock. So that means we're using npm for dependency management. I'd like to use pnpm. So I'm going to do pnpmi, and then it will actually install a pnpm lock. It's just a bit more better for the size of the modules which get installed. And that's why you get to see errors now. They'll go away in just a moment. And then we can do pnpm dev. Okay. Now, at this point, and again, if any of this is confusing, like I said, sign up for the code base. I'll give you an invite to the community very shortly, and then we can get rolling on that side, right? Now, When we do pm dev, it kicks off two things. If we look inside a package, Jason, hey, we got my lovely girlfriend there. You go, Tatiana. She goes, hello from Dubai. So in this case, we've got dev front end, dev back end. So if I do pm dev, you can see that it runs two things in parallel, the dev front end and the dev back end, right? So what this is doing is it spins up Convex's back end as well as the Next.js front end. But right now, Convex, when you load it for the first time, it will ask you to log in, which I already have, and then we can create a new project. So I'm going to create a new project here on my team, and I'm going to call this one the job lead job YouTube app, and we're going to do cloud deployment. And I can pick a region. I'm going to do US. And now, okay, I have one. I literally used up my last project. So in this case, it went ahead and added in 2 environment variables. And then it also kicks up the Convex dashboard as well. Okay, so now you can see the app spins up as well. So in this one terminal, I have Convex running and I have my app running, okay? And as you can see, like it says configure your app, temporary API keys are enabled so you can get started immediately. Because remember, we created our Clerk account, but we didn't add the keys in, okay? So what I want you to do now is go into your environment file over here. And one thing you need to know is what is public and what is not allowed, right? So in this case, I'm going to make this a lot simpler. These are all called Convex keys, okay? So these are all of our Convex keys. Let me go ahead and just hide these so it's simple for you to see. We've got the Convex keys here, and we also need our Clerk keys. Keys are how we go ahead and talk to those APIs that we spoke about earlier, okay? So inside of Clerk right now, let's go back to Clerk. I remember we signed up and we set up our first account, which was awesome. First step I want you to do, look, they've also even got quick start, guys, but we've already used the quick start setup from Convex. Go down here, grab your keys, right? Now my keys are private, right? I'm going to share with you because obviously I'm going to wipe these keys afterwards. You should never share your keys, right? Rule number 1, okay? So in this case, we've got Clerk secret key, right? It literally says test, secret key, SK, and PK usually means private key, okay? So, and also you'll notice that it doesn't say next public. Next public means it will get loaded on the app and the client stuff. When it doesn't have next public, it means it only gets rendered on server stuff. And don't worry if that doesn't make sense. It'll make sense afterwards, okay? So now what we want to do is we have our app set up. Let's get it running so we can see the app on the side, okay? Now you can use Convex's inbuilt browser, but I like to just have, things running on the side. It's just easier for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fresh side of things, localhost 3000. And let's just get into the app, okay? So now you can see, look, I can sign in already with the demo. So remember that Convex starter kit, it gave us a demo point. So let's just test it. Let's click sign in. I can go ahead and continue with Google. Let's log into one of my accounts. And just like that, we can see, yep, continue. And if we go over here, if I go to users, we should see a user now created. So in a moment, we should see, fill in the missing details. Username, let's call it Sunny Sanga. Continue. And now we refresh and we should see a user. So let's wait for a sec. We see users, Sunny Sanga, username, Sunny Sanga, and there you go. We can even see I'm active. Clerk has this very nice user activity feature, and boom, there we have it, right? So now my user is there. I have this user profile button. So this is awesome. Already we have authentication set up, and it's going to be so simple to get billing set up as well, right? So don't worry if you came in late. I see someone wrote, shoot, when did this start? It's fine. This is going to be up afterwards, and we immediately will timestamp it the second we can. Literally within a day, it'll be timestamped as well. Okay. So at this point now, quick little water break. I see you, Jay. So at this point now, what we're going to do is, let me know, by the way, I think everyone is dialed in because we've got 200 people plus watching on this right now across platforms, which is nuts. Destroy that like button as well, right? So Jordan says, Clerk and Convex are great. I use them all the time in the SaaS I've been building. Dude, 100%, they're the kings. I'm telling you right now, it's a cheat code for SaaS building. So let's start vibing out, right? So a couple of things. When you start vibe coding, okay, a few things I want you to pay attention to. Remember, this is the first default view that we're in. Command E, let's go into our agent view. So Command E takes us to that other view. Now over here, we can start describing what we want, okay? Now I've done a couple of things here. So on my other app, what I have done is I've gone ahead and created something called a live.md file. And what this does is basically like a user story setup, okay? So if you've ever done any form of software development, right, you'll know that you have some typically something known as, let me just hide a bunch of stuff, sorry guys. It's very hard to see right now, yeah. So you know that typically you have something known as user stories. Now, user stories are, as a user, I should be able to log in. As a user, I should be able to, apply to a job. As a user, I should be able to have, my own profile and so forth, right? So that's typically what we know as a user story. So in this case, I've kind of created like an example of like, if we had a couple of user stories. So story 1, landing page, right? So scaffold, the project and so forth. Phase 2, authentication, right? Phase 3, database and backend and so forth. Like all of this stuff, webhook syncing. We're actually going to synchronize Clerk and Convex webhooks. So it's a different side of things compared to what we did before. Then we've got organizations and billing and how we set up the different roles and so forth. And I will push this to the actual final Git as well, okay? So a bunch of stuff here, as well as like some shared components and stuff like that. But again, this is just a guide, right? Assume that we don't even have this right now, but I'm just trying to show you that typically that is a way that you might be working, okay? So in this case now, I'm gonna close this out and let's start building out. So our app right now looks like this. We need it to look a lot more like the other one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this up over here. I'm going to have a demo on one side of the other app. So that way we can have both kind of accessible and we can kind of see the demo versus the live app. And we can kind of go back and forth. Okay, so this one should load up on 3001 in a moment. Okay, so, and also what I want to show you, I'll show you Convex afterwards, that's fine. So 3001. All right. So here we go. No, okay, that's my community. Feel free to join that, by the way. Head over to the universityofcode.com. And oh no, I've got this weird, annoying situation. If I do this, yeah, that's it. So here we have the final app. Okay, so we need to go from this template to that. Okay, so, and again, it's not going to look exactly the same. Remember, I gave you the code for that final build if you want to replicate that. And again, we have no affiliation with Jobly or Indeed or anyone like that. It's purely educational. I just couldn't think of a name. So in this case, this one, you can go ahead and get access to the code, but ours is going to look different because we're going to vibe code it, right? So first thing, Command I. Now we need to make our first plan, right? Now what I want you to do here is I'm just going to vibe with you guys. And literally, if I keep explaining every single bit, basically what I want to do is you tell me if I'm moving too fast, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit all of these changes firstly. I'm just going to do a default commit message. And this is not the best practice, okay? By the way, FYI, I'm just on a demo right now. I want to get rid of all this stuff. So commit means now we've got a clean branch, right? So I've pushed that up to our branch for Git control. I'm not going to cover Git control too much today. But the reason why I like this is because now when we vibe code, I can see exactly what changes are at each step. So step 1, I want to go ahead and let's build something like the landing page, okay? So I'm going to make a huge plan with my AI right now, okay? So we're in agent mode. So what I'm going to do is I switch from this agent mode to plan mode. And I can also do that by pressing Shift and Tab to go through, right? Hey, Tatiana's gone ahead and gifting everyone. There we go. We got Santa in the house, all right? Say thank you guys to Tatiana. You guys are now part of the Papa fam, right? Or that higher tier, I guess, right? In plan mode, this is a lot better because now you're not going to spend as many tokens and you're going to get a much better plan drafted out first. You always want to start in plan mode. And also here, I'm in max mode, Opus 4.6, which is why I've got a very clever model. I don't mind paying for that. But if you are worried about your spend, just start in auto mode, guys. It will literally go ahead and do it a lot more simple, okay? So it'll do a lot more cheaper as well. But just know that the results are going to be different because Opus is obviously the cleverer model, okay? So in this case, I can either type here or I like to use something called Super Whisper. Okay, a friend of mine built this. You can use Sunny 25 if you want to go ahead and get it. But effectively, you install this and then you can just speak. And it basically is just like a transcription layer to go ahead and put inside the machine or computer. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and talk to it. So let's turn things down a bit. I'm going to jump into it and say, I'm building a Indeed style job website, right? I need to build a landing page. I also need to have, it's going to be a B2C app. So anyone can apply for a job. And I also want to have it so employers can log in and actually go ahead and have, different members in their organization. So we're going to use Clerk Billings organization features, and they should be able to create job postings. We're using Clerk and Convex for the tech stack. Help me plan this out. So very, very simple. I can say something like that. Okay. Now in this case, just going to transcribe it. So in this, you see, I'm building an Indeed style job website. I need to build a landing page. Also need a B2C app. So in this case, it's a B2C app. Let's say it's a B2C app. So anyone can apply for a job. I want employers to be able to log in and have different members in the organization. We're going to use Clerk billing organization features, and they should be able to create job postings. We're using Clerk and Convex for the tech stack. Help plan this out. Now, a few things that I typically do here. I'm going to go ahead and say, make sure to use Clerk billing and make sure to use Clerk B2B organization features. For Clerk billing, I want to make sure that you follow the official documentation, right? So I've found that this is typically things that I find help me a lot more. Yeah, now don't get me wrong, we have Clerk MCP installed, but I still believe that we get better results by doing simple things like this. I just go to Clerk billing. I can see, for example, Clerk billing over here, and then I can see B2B authentication as well. So I can either do this one, or what I like to do is actually go to the documentation itself. So billing management, Clerk docs. So I grab this and I'll just paste that in. Okay. So now I've given it a bit more context. Now, bear in mind, we've installed a bunch of skills, but if you want to explicitly tell it to use a skill, you do / and you can see I've got a bunch of skills installed. Right. So if I was to type in Clerk right now, you can see I've got Clerk, Next.js skills, and so forth. Right. So before I hit OK on this, I want to introduce you guys to skills.sh. So Vercel created this platform. And if you don't know about it, you should, because you can use it with a ton of different things, right? So here, one thing that I want to introduce you to is one, you should be very, very careful of what you install here, because some can have hidden injection attacks. So if you click on it, now they've added this security audit feature on the right. Make sure you check that, okay? But a couple of ones that I recommend you have is Vercel React Best Practices. This is awesome. It's really good for writing new React components on Next.js pages. Basically, it's going to teach your agent exactly what the hell to do the right way. So we can copy that, for example, go back over, and inside that terminal, yeah, I can create another terminal. So I've got my second terminal here, and I can just like kind of paste that in. Right, so I can paste that in, and this will go ahead and install it onto the machine. So you see how it pops up similar to what we had before. And now it can go ahead and say, which one do you want to install? It by default installs on cursor. So we're going to just click on enter, and then we're going to install it into our project, symlink, proceed with installation, yes. Right. And you can see it's installed the skill. Okay. So now my agents have that skill inside of it. React Vercel's best practices. Web design guidelines is another good one. Vercel composition patterns is really good as well. This is good for example, like context management. When you have state inside of your app, but really, higher levels, how to do it the correct way, the React way. So this is kind of handy with that. So I've installed a lot of these, by the way, so I don't need to keep doing that. But in this case, you can do those, and also web design guidelines, front end design, very, very good ones. And if you're doing any native dev, this is an awesome one for Expo. Okay. So a couple of things like this. And again, you can see that the installs are very big here, right? Even the find skills one itself, this skill helps you discover and install skills from the open agent skills ecosystem. So in that case, you can even ask it to find the skill relevant for what you're doing. And just a side note, remotion best practices is awesome. Basically, you can make agents build videos, right, which is really, really cool. Right. So at this point, let's go ahead and jump into plan mode. So Command J, we already had our plan up and running. We're going to hit plan. Now let's let it do its thing. And I'm going to literally vibe code this entire thing. So bear in mind that this is new. Okay, I've never done this on a live stream. I don't know what's going to happen because I can't really predict exactly what it's going to do. So this will be a fun, interesting build, and know that I'm doing that for you guys. So yeah, all I ask is you smash the like button. Dione says, is skills just like an MD file with instructions? Exactly. Yes, it's an MD file with instructions. So if we go ahead and pop it over here, you can see that it started to kick off sub-agents that are doing stuff. And I want to mention before I explain the skills part, if we click on this right now, you can see at the top, the thing I like about Cursor is you can see Composer 1. Now, Composer 1 is one of Cursor's models. Now, the reason why it's awesome is because it's really quick, it's really fast, and it does a pretty decent job of like coding tasks. Now, I wouldn't say it's nowhere near an Opus, but we don't need to be at an Opus level, for example, when we're scanning the file tree. So for example, what happens in the beginning is when we executed our plan, the first step it needs to do is understand the code base. It needs to know where's my starting point. So look, exploring the code base, gathering key files and structure, and it's not using Opus here, it's using Composer 1, which is good because we don't want it to burn through Opus credits for the discovery part. We want to use Opus credits when we're actually coding, okay? So in this case, you can see that all of these little sub calls or, like these sub-agent calls right here, this is a sub-agent, are basically using a cheaper model. And that's what we want, right? So it can do it quicker, it can do it more nicer and so forth. Okay. Now, We had a question earlier about skills. Yes, so a skill is effectively just a skill.md file, and it explains, so it says that name, description, and this description is what will make the AI understand, should I pull it in or not? Okay, so in this case, if we go down here now, look, Vercel's React best practices, when to apply. Reference these guidelines when you're writing new React components, implementing data fetching client or server side. Most of you need this, by the way, because the harsh reality is a lot of students don't understand the difference between client and server. And I get it, it can be confusing, but if you do find that that's a weak point, I would highly recommend you install this skill because it will literally help you avoid a lot of the problems that you probably might run into, right? Reviewing code for performance issues, refactoring existing code, optimizing bundle size and so forth. So all of this stuff, right? Now, now you can understand that I'm not just vibe coding a basic tutorial and showing you how to like do something, trying to show you the levels of how you can do this correctly, right? Skill file, contents retrieval. So now it's going to basically, you see, the first step was it went ahead and explored the entire code base. The second step, it went into our skills and it went ahead and checked out what skills do I have, right? So now if we go up all the way over here and inspect, look, reading all 4 skills in parallel, and it explored, it found the clerk skill, it found the Clerk Organization skill, it found more. So it found, for example, the different organization roles and so forth. For all new members get assigned a row. It understands about, row-based access and all that good stuff. And it also went ahead and read things like Clerk webhooks. Really nice, right? Now it starts to create something called a plan. Now this plan is very, very important, guys, okay? So the way we work is we start in plan mode, typically, okay? Then we go ahead and we start creating the plan. Now, what I like here is you see it's gone ahead and started doing diagrams, and a few other things. This project is Next.js 16 app with Clerk partially configured, Convex connected, but using an example schema, auth config.ts as Clerk provider commented out. We need to set things up correctly. Then it starts setting things up. So you see that we need users, organization, jobs, applications, and so forth. And then we need to synchronize Clerk webhooks, right? So create an HTTP endpoint in Convex to receive Clerk webhooks for syncing users and organizations to Convex, right? Now, of course, this is going to be different to the app that I built. It just will, because obviously I'm literally, this could be a different plan. I don't want to copy the other app and that would not be true to you guys. I want to show you guys from scratch how you can do it yourself. What is going on? Smeet Desai, I remember you, dude. What's up? He goes, it's so good to be back. What's up, man? We got some OGs back in the house. Enable clerk billing, enable organizations, all of this stuff. And also gating. This is the correct way. The clerk billing makes it so easy to gate, guys. Because here we can gate on the server side by saying, have they got the feature job postings on their plan? Or on the client side by basically using the protect block, right? So really, really simple stuff, like nice. Convex backend functions, a bunch of stuff. But you see how the plan, like already, this plan was done pretty quick, right? And it allows us to go ahead and do it like a controlled approach. Now, you can see mine does a lot of phase work, right? So I always recommend when you're working with AI or you're working with any client or anything, always go ahead and say, break it down into phases. And you'll see why I'm going to do that today. Okay. So we're going to jump into phase 1, right? So I'm going to say, let's just assume I'm happy with this. I can make changes to this as well if I wanted to. But let's jump into phase 1. Okay. So say carry out phase 1 only. Okay. Now we click on execute. Okay, now what we'll do is it's in plan mode right now, but typically if you click build, it'll start doing everything, right? But the user wants me to execute plan mode. Let me rephrase. So it starts going to the to-dos, and what you want to typically do is switch it to agent mode at this point. So I just did command tab and now we're in agent mode. So now I can actually start building. I've given it permission to basically build. Okay. See, look, so it's good. And then it basically creates some to-dos, so complete clerk convex management, uncomment out auth config and set the clerk JWT token. And here's what I want you to do. Okay. So if we click on, as it's doing its work now, we can click into it and we can see exactly what it's doing. But you see here, it says now add the clerk JWT issuer domain environment to environment.local. So what we have here is, and look, don't worry if it starts running ahead. I'll show you guys what we're going to do, right? So it's starting to code away. I'm using Opus and I want you to pay attention to this over here as well. So you remember the context window? Look, we're already at 74,000 tokens and you need to start feeling out and understanding what tokens mean correctly. And the only way, in my opinion, just use it. Just use it. Yeah, you might spend something every now and then. Don't worry, just use the thing. Like, trust me, stop. don't go partying or drinking or something for a week. I promise you'll be able to afford AI. Like as in whatever you do, just cut something out and just put it towards AI. It'd be the best investment of your life, right? Very, very simple to win over this, right? So Clerk JWT issue domain. So in this case, remember the documentation here already had a, how to set this up. So what I want you to do is while this is running, let's go over to Clerk, Convex, sorry. Go over to Convex and we're going to go into Jobly job YouTube app, right? Crazy name. Go into settings and we need to set the environment variable, right? Here. Now you're probably wondering, well, Sunny, wasn't it actually in the environment local file? Like, shouldn't we have done it inside of our environment local here? Well, you can put it here just for reference, but it's not actually going to get pulled from here. It's actually going to get pulled from your Convex because Convex typically works in a slightly different way. Like when we have our environment variables there, that's the ones that the Convex functions are going to use. So over at Clerk, we need something called a JWT session token. So what we can do is we can go over to sessions, JWT templates, and we're going to add a new template called Convex. Well, in this case, you can go to template and just click on the Convex template. And that's it. Then I want you to go to issuer, grab that, and click on save. Okay. Now we're going to go back over to our Convex. We're going to paste the value in there. And then we're going to go to, we need this name exactly, Clerk JWT issuer domain, and you click on save. That's it, right? Now you can, like I said, you can put it over here as well. So you could pop it in here as well. Oops. Oh, okay. So it actually found mine. Interesting. So it actually found the issuer domain. So maybe it did it itself. Interestingly enough. So let's see. Let me start. First time I configure. Okay. So, but you still have to create the JWT token like I just did, okay? Next, let's look at the schema. So you want to go ahead and see what it does. A lot of people, what they tend to do wrong here, guys, is they tend to go ahead and just keep accepting and they forget about the whole thing, okay? So what I will do here is, look, I've done this for a very long time already, so I know what to look for. If it's new and it's your first time, then look, just try to fill it out. So the way I mean by this is that we have a schema here. So if I click on accept, right? So we can see that's just command accept. Now we've got a users table, an organization table, jobs, and then you can see the different fields and so forth, applications and all this stuff, right? And we've also got indexes, which makes searching faster. Now, one thing I want you to understand is if you do get confused at any point, what are the tools that we as a dev have available to us, right? If I was to go ahead and get confused about what the hell is going on here, I can go ahead and just drag this over. I can do Command K and I can say like explain this, right? For example, and then I can do Option Enter to go ahead and do an inline question, right? And now it will explain it inline. You see? So this is how you create that self-learning loop for yourself. And this is what a lot of devs aren't doing right now. And then they get stuck and then they just quit. So this is going to create our tables in Convex. So already, if we go to data now, you can see that we already have tables. And the old numbers table is gone because we deleted that out of the schema. So we can delete that. So we should have 4 tables. And just like so, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So we have our schema. Then we have the backend. These are all our users functions. So in this case, let me go back to the regular editor in case you're getting confused. But if we press Command I can see the plan over here. Actually, no, Command E again. Let's go back over that view. You need to get used to this, okay? Let's go back up here. Sorry, guys. We go over to users.ts. So in the users.ts file, you guys can see in Convex, it's created our users.ts. Now, typically the way that the default behavior is, when we create mutation functions or queries is just when we get information, mutation is when we change information. Very simple, okay? Then what we do is we can create all of that typically we name the file, the folder name, the table name. So users will include all of our get user function. And you see this just gets the user back, right? And the get current user, because we connected Clerk and Convex, we can use this special function here called context.auth.getUserIdentity. But notice how I didn't even need to know that because it did it itself with the Clerk skills. And because of that, right, if you were to set this up manually, if you were to look inside of the layout.tsx file, you can actually see here, guys, look, there's a Clerk provider, Convex is wrapping the entire app. Now, I'm not going to dive into exactly Next.js and everything like that. We do that in the community. But what I'm trying to say here is you just need to understand that Clerk and Convex are wrapping your app, right? That's effectively what's happening here. And then this is how we effectively can tell who is logged in. So the identity then, That's how we know who's logged in. And then we go into the database, we query the database where the clerk ID matches who's logged in, and we return the value. So in this case, upsert user is things like, how we can mutate the user values and so forth. Internal means it's not exposed publicly. So this can only be used by our internal functions, and delete user. So these are the more safe ways of doing it, right? We've got organization ones where we can go ahead and create organizations, delete organizations and so forth. And then this is the more important part, clerk webhooks for Convex. Now, the way that this is working is when, you see, now I need to create Convex HTTP endpoints, use the HTTP action pattern directly. We're not using Next.js API routes. And this is an absolute gem, right? If you don't know about Convex APIs, it's so powerful. If you go to functions, you see this. These are literally API endpoints that are live right now, just from what we did, right? So by the way, when I'm running this in the terminal, as it's changing things, can you see? Like it's literally going ahead and creating all of those different things. It's creating the functions, it's creating all of that stuff in the background, okay? So this http.ts file is basically similar to how you used to use Express, right? So http.route, you see we created a path, clerk webhook, and it's a post function. And immediately, boom, we have a live post web endpoint. And if you want to access this, the way you access it is you go into your environment file, and they would have added something called your next public Convex site URL. So now at this URL, so this URL /clerk-webhook, that is live. That literally will go ahead and hit this endpoint, but it'll be a GET request because I'm doing it from the browser. But that literally is a live post request right now. So you see, now you don't need ngrok or any of these other things in case you've done that in the past. It just will work, which is absolutely incredible, right? So in this case, we've got, this is basically checking if clerk's signature actually comes from clerk. So we typically have to do something called a signature check. And then this is what this verification is, right? And then if it is, what we're doing here is when we log in or when a user is updated, we synchronize that in our Convex database. The same goes for when our organization is created or updated. We synchronize that in our database. Same goes for when we delete. So what we're effectively doing at this level is we're making sure that any action that happens in a clerk, when a user is logged in, when the user is updated, or when an organization is created, updated, or deleted, everything in the database is synchronized, okay? So what we need to do is we need to tap into something called a webhook. And what that means is every time something happens on clerk, it should ping off an event. And then our Convex functions that we just created here are listening to that event. So that way they always stay in sync, right? So what we need to do now is we just created that HTTPS function. So if you go down, I'll show you that typically it will explain it to you, right? So it's done a bunch of changes elsewhere, layout. Proxy.ts is a very important file, by the way. This is Clerk's middleware. So it's saying if you go in anywhere / of dashboard, we're saying we're protecting that route. So you have to be logged in to access that, right? And then if we go down here, auth config, this is the one where we connected the JWT token for clerk, right? So you can see here. Then let's go down a bit more. And then here we can see, it explains what happens afterwards, okay? So phase 1 is complete, blah, blah, blah. Clerk Convex auth integration is finished, in which case we did it here. And the few patterns that I would spot. Here, I do not like this. You should not be doing this behavior where you just say, okay, yeah, it's there 100%. So typically here, what I would do is I would highlight this, I would do Command L, and I would say never do, let's just say, I'm going to put that back. Yeah, so I'm going to highlight this, do Command L, and I'll say never do this operator, always check for no value and throw an error, right? And then I can hit enter on that. And basically this is basically saying that the value is always there. No, we should always have a check. Never do this typically, right? It's a very bad practice to do that. You don't want to do that. So this is the true way you should do it. You typically will go ahead and you don't even need to put that into, you could just do it inline, it's fine though. But you can say if there is no clerk JW2 issuer, then we throw an error. It's not set, right? Because you should catch it at that point, okay? Now, next thing is clerk webhooks, right? So you see created the HTTP with a clerk webhook endpoint, but it didn't tell me, oh yeah, it did. Before proceeding, you'll need to do the following steps. Convex dashboard, set the clerk by using this link. We've done that already. Clerk dashboard, create a JWT template named Convex. We already did that. Clerk dashboard, add a webhook endpoint pointing to this right here. Okay, so what we're doing now, and subscribe to all of user events and organization events, then copy the signing secret to right? So in this case, remember that URL that I showed you guys? This one, Diligent Salmon, right? It's gone ahead and told us that as exactly that. So what I can do here is I can copy that field, HTTP, this one right here, Diligent Salmon, right? Then I'm going to go to my Clerk dashboard. So let's go over to Clerk. And you see how like I didn't manually code a lot of that stuff. It did it itself, right? Now we can type in, for example, webhooks, and we found it here in developer panel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an endpoint. I'm going to paste in my endpoint, and it's already live, right? And you see with Svix Play, you can describe it if you want, but now we want to subscribe to all of the user events and all of the organization events. Okay. So now anytime an organization change happens or a user change happens, then you see, let's subscribe to all user and organization, and then copy the signing secret. So we go ahead and click on create. And again, another secret thing that you don't want to reveal to anyone is this signing secret. Of course, I'm going to show you because it's a demo. You copy your signing secret, and this is how we prove that it came from the actual Clerk account. Otherwise, someone else could, if they got access to the signing secret, you typically rotate this key. You'd want to rotate this, then you'd go here and you click rotate secret. Now we go to our webhook secret and we basically paste that in, right? And now what our backend is going to do is remember that HTTPS function. So HTTP, this function inside of here. What that did was, you see here, it was checking. It said, okay, let's say, for example, an event got fired off from Clerk. How do I know it actually came from Clerk? It could come from Andy down the road who's trying to hack me. Well, no, Andy down the road doesn't know what that signing secret is. Whereas if it came from Clerk, they sent with it the signing secret encrypted. So this code right here is basically where we unravel it, we check it against the webhook secret, and then we use svix, which is basically a library, to go ahead and verify it. And if it's not valid, then we know that the two values are different. Whoever sent this isn't Clerk. So that's how you can test it, okay? You always want to make sure that whenever you're doing any webhook work, you always go ahead and have a signature or secret signing key, all right? All right, Emeralds says, what's it called? He says, can I use clerk-auth to upload media for Facebook or Instagram using Meta APIs? I believe you can. You can actually tap into those when you have the login flow. Okay. Now, guys, if you are enjoying this right now, all I ask is you destroy that like button. Like I said before, it helps the channel massively, right? And get this like count to 200, 300, 400, and so forth. Okay. We're already past 100. Let's go. Right. So at this point now, we're ready to proceed to phase 2. Okay. So we've done a bunch of cleanup as well. So let's go ahead and go over to our, what's it called? Our plan. Now, I didn't do a step, which I should have done, right? When we have the plan here, what many people do, which is really a bad habit, right, is they just proceed like what I just did, right? You actually want to go to this top bit and click on Save to Workspace. Now, why do you want to save it? Because if I ever, create a new session or I forget what my plan was, and it's happened before, basically now it's saved it to our cursor, plans, and they've got a file. And in the code that I actually gave you, I have given you the original plan file. Okay, so you can see how the original plan looked like. Okay, so now let's test it out, right? So firstly, you can see like Jobly, find your next opportunity, landing page coming soon, phase 1 complete, sign in. Let's go ahead and sign in and let's just refresh. Most likely needed a refresh. There you go. I'm signed in. Let's sign out, sign in, continue with Google. Do it again. And just like that, we should have our user signed in. There we go. Okay. And I believe it should have, if we go into the logs here, would it have fired up a log here? Maybe not. I think it would have been in actually the Clerk side. So if we go to users here, did it synchronize the user yet? No. Okay. So in this case, because I didn't create the user initially, right? So inside of there. So what I want to do just to demo something to you guys is I'm going to delete this user for a sec, right? So you typically don't want to do this, but I'm just going to I'm trying to demo how it works with you guys. So if we go back over there now, and you see I've logged out, we sign in, continue with Google. Now we log into my account. Now, because a user is created, it fires off a webhook, and then the Convex HTTP backend request is now there sitting, waiting for this post request to come through. the webhook is going to hit the M request, and we should go ahead and have a user created inside of our database. So fill in the user fields. Let's just use Sunny Sanga. Continue. Oops, I accidentally done that. That's silly of me. And then you see we've created that user. And let's go ahead and close that. And what I want you to do now is go over to Clerk, go over to our developer webhooks, and I want you to go into logs. Okay, and you can see like user created or session created. That was it, yeah. So you could also do it on the session created if you wanted to, right? But now you can see, look, Sunny logged in, and it would have went ahead and did all this stuff. Now, because it was a user created event, that should have got picked up by our backend. So now if we go over here, we should see, if we go to logs, yep, there you go, Clerk webhook, boom, there we have it. And it's a 500 error. Oh, you see something bad what happened. So we're not set up correctly. So at this point, someone might run away and be like, oh, I'm going to build the app. Okay, but that's a problem. You need to fix that. Okay, so what actually happened here? Like what went wrong? So we got a 500 error here. So let's see what the problem was. So the 500 error, if we go into our settings, we can go into our environment variables. Well, firstly, I'll keep it very simple for you guys. I'll be like, what you can do is you can do it a couple of ways actually. If you go into logs, click on this, you can literally screenshot this. You can go ahead and do, for example, a screenshot like so, paste it over here, and you can go ahead and say paste, and you'll be like, the webhook call failed with 500. Okay. And now let's see what it does. And I'm going to show, and I'm showing you this on purpose because I want you to understand and see how it will use skills to debug. So most likely cause was because of the missing Clerk webhook secret. And the 500 is almost certainly because Clerk webhook secret is not set in the Convex dashboard. There you go. So that was my fault, right? So remember, I forgot to set it in the Convex dashboard, right? And a big problem here was actually where we use that. So if I do Command Shift F and I paste in Clerk webhook secret and I look over here, can you see how it says if there is no webhook secret, missing Clerk webhook secret, right? But this is happening on Convex's side, right? So this would have actually happened over here. So typically, if we see this, did it show me the logs or maybe not? Okay. But what we want to do here is basically go ahead and go into our settings, environment variables, and this is where we needed to add the actual secret. So you see, I added it in the wrong place. And you see how AI just helped me unravel that bug. So if I go to environment local, I need my Clerk webhook secret over here, like so. So let's do that again. Let's go ahead and do that. Save. Yep. Cool. And now when we do data, we need to redo that test again. So let's go over here. I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and delete this user. Let me close that for a sec. I'm going to delete this user. I'm going to show you the entire test flow again. And this is how you test it, right? So if you didn't know what you're doing at this point, you'd run through, you'd probably think it was all working, and then you'd be like, it's AI slop. You see? You need to know what you're doing, okay? So at this point now, we need to do the test again. So I'm going to log back in. You see it logs me out because I deleted that user. So I'm going to log in. Then it's going to go ahead and ask me for the, what's it called? Let's see. And I believe we should have actually seen an error in somewhere here. We should have seen it there. Oh, I think it was here. Oh, that's the JWT one, yeah. But in this case, let's Sunny Sanga. Click on continue. And now, in just a moment, if we go back over, we can see, sorry, I'm going to put a few mixed up things. So here, yay, there we go. Sunny is now synced. Boom. I didn't do that. It did it itself. We go to logs. We can see, hey, look at that. Sunny created the environment variable. And then we deleted the user, and then we added the post Clerk webhook. So that's when the user logged in. And we can confirm that it's true because if we go over to Clerk and we go over here, firstly, we have the user. I need to refresh. Go over to configure. We go to developers, webhook. And then now if we see the logs, boom, user created. There we go, guys. This is the one. Okay. So there you go. That's perfect. And delivery attempts, boom. So failed attempts too. That's actually not the case because we just did it correctly. So it probably is either refreshed or it's just a little bit delayed. But in this case, the log, this actually went through. So it was correct. Okay. There you go. And there you go. Successful. That's what I was trying to get to. So you can see that the user is created here. Perfect. Okay. So that's nice. Now we can carry on. So now once we're done, you can see, oh, no, I'm not using Java. Now we can say, okay, so let's say I want to look at the plan. I want to know what phase 2 is. I can just type in Command P, plan, and you see it takes me to the plan. And now I can go over and I can see where am I at? I'm at phase 2 now. Okay. So phase 2, clerk organizations and billing, right? So let's just say, for example, let's proceed. Or just say, keep it very neat. Just say proceed with phase 2. Right. I get lazy and I do that a lot, but I'm trying to show you that the reality of what I do, right? Proceed with phase 2. Enable, and as it's doing this, I'm going to do it on the side, and I'm going to make sure, I'm still at 90K. That's good. And you see that phase 2, it's asked me to switch to plan mode. Okay. So in this case, let's go ahead and do switch. So it's actually a very new feature in Cursor. And it's suggested that we should switch to plan mode because it could be a bit better to allow us to go ahead and figure out a few things that we need to do in that section, which is very good. Okay. So what billing plans do we want for our employers? The original plan suggested free, pro, and enterprise, right? So you can either use these or you can type in here. So I'm going to say we actually want to have free. We're going to have pro. Now we're going to have starter and pro. And for starter, we're going to have 10 seats. So 10 seats and 10 job postings. So 10 job postings. And for pro, we're going to have 25 seats and unlimited job postings for companies. Okay. Now that's perfect. And free, we can just say 1 job. Yeah. And you see, like now we click enter. And then the question 2 that it has is phase 2 has manual clerk dashboard steps. Should I build all the code parts now and give you a checklist for the dashboard steps? And then you can say, or you could do just give me a dashboard and then I'll tell you. So in the essence of time, we're going to say, yes, build the code and give me the dashboard checklist. Or I can say, give me the checklist. Then once delivered, code the app or code the phase 2. I just say P2 typically, right? Because I want to show you guys before so I can show you the steps that we have to do. Okay. So now the user wants a bunch of let it do its thing, and it'll go ahead and typically create a plan for this. So let phase 2 plan. Now I'm not going to save the phase 2 plan typically. It depends if you want to, but you can see that complete these steps in first in order to do it. So we're going to go to organizations, configure organization settings. So configure organizations. So we need to enable organizations inside of our app. Membership required or membership optional. Now we are using membership optional because the people who are coming to buy, not buy a property, but apply for a job, they're not members of an enterprise, right, or organization. So we're going to do membership optional. And what we can do is we can actually say, we can tell it that it's part of its plan. So it'll be like the B2C customers who are applying for jobs won't be a part of the orgs, right? So we can copy this. We can say, so I'm setting this to optional. And we're in plan mode right now. So, I'm just making sure that it knows that, right? Now, typically, I'm pretty good at understanding if that's worked or not, but I'm trying to show you over the top steps so you understand, right? So membership optional, limited memberships. So we can say unlimited, but in this case, limited, I'm gonna say the membership limit is 25. Right. And again, these are add-ons. So typically, if you are going to use organization, yeah, there are going to be add-ons on your clerk plan, right? But in this case, you can use everything in the development mode for free. Until you go to production mode, it will change. You can enable organization slugs if you wanted to. You can have a bunch of different things, right? So, and then if you get confused at any point as well, you can just ask AI. You can literally screenshot this and say, oh, can you run me through which command, like which settings I should have and so forth, okay? So in this case, users can create unlimited organizations. Default row set is fine. Allow new members to delete organizations. When a new organization is any member of the delete organization system can delete it by default. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, save. And now let's go back. Okay, so you see that it goes, that's the correct membership option is exactly right for your use case. And you're wondering, how did it know that that was the right setting? Remember all of the skills and MCP that we set up earlier? There you go. That's how it does it, right? So, hey, there we got Yoni in the house. He goes, Sunny Papa React. Howdy all. What's good, dude? A quick like and howdy. Nice showing markdown skills proper. I will watch from the start. I missed it. I'll have to catch up there. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. Awesome members of the Papa fam, right? Under membership limit, leave as default or set per plan later. We're going to set that to 25 now. Under creator role, ensure org admin is the default. Okay. So in this case, roles and permissions is the next step. So we've got the default role, which is admin and member. But we're going to create a role set here. So I'm going to say to it right now, So let's go here. I'm going to say explain the roles and permissions here. Okay. And I'm going to say I want 3 types, right? Admin has all access. Recruiter has nearly all. Recruiter can post jobs, but can't manage billing. We can say or invite other users, right? And then we can also say member can only view job listings and applications. Okay, so this is the steps that we want, right? So we go ahead and say explain, and now it's going to literally go ahead and give us the full run through, right? So Code Whisker says, and how to follow this if we don't have a premium cursor subscription. Guys, remember, you don't need the cursor premium, right? There's a free Gemini key that you can use. Again, your prompts will just have to be a bit more dialed in, but like just know that that's the possibility. LIC Web Solutions goes, this guy is literally giving out a full stack game for free and only 104 people. Yeah, across platforms is 200. Yeah, it's crazy, it's insane. But before you do is like 5 or 6 and selling them 50, then apply for jobs. Amen, dude, 100%. Right? So in this case, look, we can see down here, create custom permissions, click on the default role, set to edit, go into permissions, create these permissions, right? And then we create the recruiter role. So in this case, they're going to be slightly different to the one that I have, but let's go through and run through it. Okay. The default role is already set to admin and member. You need to add a recruiter role and configure permissions for all 3. Step 1, click on the default role set to add it, then go to permission sections, create these permissions, org, jobs, manage, right? So let's do that right now. So we go create row set, premium, yeah, that's fine. We're going to say on recruiter. So in this case, you want to do create a recruiter role. Okay, recruiter. And then here you go, description, right, rows, add rows. And you can see here which rows. We've got new rows, we've got add these rows and so forth. Which one do we do, right? So in this case, we can do new rows here. And you can see create these permissions. So we're actually doing it in a different way right now. So right now we're creating the row set. So here, what I can do, if you are stuck, you can just literally screenshot again, go over here and say, explain what to do, right? And you can literally go ahead and get it done. The reason why I recommend you do this is because if you mess this bit up, you will screw up something which could be so simple and nicely done, right? You're on the add row screen. Here's what to do. Create the recruiter row, new, and then look, but not manage billing or members. So key is org recruiter, right? So key is actually org recruiter. I don't think we need the key of org recruiter. The rows is add all 3s, go back to the available tabs. You now should see 3 rows. So let's go ahead and firstly create this. So you must add at least 1 row. This one is actually key recruiter, add all 3 rows, go back to available rows, you see admin and roles. We see this. So right now we see these. So what I'm going to do just for highlighting it is show this and basically say which ones do we need. Okay. So which ones? And of course, if it makes sense, right? A recruiter is not going to have admin privilege. You'll have member plus some rows. So check both admin and member, then click new row to create the recruiter row before submitting. Okay, so in this case, we're giving it full access for the beginning, right? But we're going to eventually restrict it. Organization creator row is actually, so the person who creates a recruiter is an admin, and a new member's default row is going to be a member by default. They're not going to join by default as an admin, okay? So add rows, and then we click on save. And then create next step. So I'll click create new. So where are we going? So system mission, click new row, organization tabs. So let's go back over here, all rows. And now you can see admin and member. Let's click on add row. And then we do recruiter. I was in the wrong section before actually. And then here, what we do is include in row set, yes, custom permissions or system permissions. Here, you can see this is the one we were talking about. So if we go down here, and the reason why I'm showing you guys this over and over again is because you do not want to mess this one up, right? Explain. So here, what we do is we say system already. So we have all of the main things, right? So recruiter, key org recruiter. So they're saying give the org recruiter, but I don't know if we actually do that. So let's see. New feature comes up on the right. This way. So we need to create 2 new features, jobs. So one is jobs. So we can say jobs. And description you can give it, right? So you're able to apply for jobs, blah, blah, blah. And let's give another one. So jobs, let's go ahead and say jobs read. So this is slightly different to what I did on my build, but it's fine. Ability to do jobs read. Then assign permissions to the recruiter role. After creating the features, you'll see the listed under custom permissions. Each feature generates permissions like org jobs manage, org jobs read. So if you see here, guys, if we click on create permission, custom permission, system, you see that's like manage organization and so forth. Now I want to show you actually the role. Actually, no, I'll do it this way because I don't want to cheat and show you like how I figured it out before. I want to show you actually if you were stuck and how you would do it right now. So which options? So this is doing create feature, custom permissions. So let's go back over here. So for the recruiter role, check only the organization system billing read, organization system read billing, and they can only read members. So read members, okay? Let's click on save. And then for the custom permissions, let's go back over here and let's go ahead and show this bit. So you see it already created org recruiter. Yeah. So that's what I was saying before. Now which options? And you want to just like, it's better to be a bit obsessive at this point. You don't have any permissions under them. Yeah. So now we create the actual permissions under it. So jobs manage, right? So this one will be manage. Right. And now what this will do is it will effectively be like org jobs manage. So in your code, you can check for that permission. This is role-based access. Same for jobs read will be, we're going to do one called read. Right. In this case, it will be orgs jobs read. Right. And again, you could have just done it as jobs read and right, to be fair. Then after that, save, you do the same for the admin row and the member row, only check orgs job read. Okay, so in this case, let's go ahead and go back to our rows. And now you can see the admin. If we go to custom permissions, we can do admin will have everything. And member row only check both. So for the admin, we do check both. Save. For the member, we're only going to go and do for the member, we only do the orgs job read. Because obviously we don't want to manage jobs yet. So only the ability to read. So now we've set up our permissions, okay? And what you can do is you can actually go ahead and just, first you check through yourself with this, but now in the rule set, I just want to make sure that this is the correct one. So if we click into rows now, click on add rows and we click on recruiter, now that's correct, I believe. So if we go into recruiter, add rules, now I just want to double check that this is actually right, because I'm not sure if we've done it we've given them too much permissions. Is this correct? All right, so the final bit. And once you've got this set up, guys, honestly, your role-based access control is done. Like it's so easy to implement after that, and AI will fly with it, right? But I'm showing you how you can debug it yourself as well, okay? So, and also you can keep an eye on your context. So 107 we're at right now, okay? So, and while we're here, what we can do is actually check out, yep. Let's just double check this. Is this correct? Let's continue to revert. Sometimes it freezes. What I'm going to do in a separate window is I'm going to open up Clerk, go to my dashboard and separate project. I'm just going to keep it underneath just because I want to check my own as well. So what I did here was I had the Indeed clone. And then if we go to configure and we go to our organizations or the actual permissions, sorry. So organizations, rows and permissions. You see I had hiring rows, which were admin. Yep. So it was actually admin, member and recruiter. And this was under hiring rows. So these were the 3 rows that you could be. And you see how that one has everything. So, well, this looks like a row set, blah, blah, blah. So create 2 sets. Okay. Which is all 3 rows should be a single. Look at the rows, total permissions. Member has 3 permissions. Okay. So yeah, in the actual build, I think I gave too many permissions. You speak back, research shows studying code also in project problems. So yeah, 100%, dude. So in this case, permissions look correct across all 3. One thing to note, the rows set is named recruiter, which is a bit confusing since it's the name of one of the rows inside it. You might want to rename it to something like job lead or default, since this is a row that will be assigned to all your organizations, but this is cosmetic and won't affect functionality. Okay, so we actually want to change this then. So let's go back to our main one so we don't get confused with those two. Okay, so we actually want to change this row set to be, we need to add the rows. So this is actually the total rows that inside the app. So you can have 3 different rows: admin, member, or recruiter. And this is why I was getting a bit confusing. So let org admin, org member, or org recruiter. So this one should be Jobly, the actual website name. Okay, so Jobly. Okay, and then what I will do is I'm going to say this is what we're going to save it as. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to say, I'm going to tell it so it understands. This is what I've set. And the reason why I'm doing that is so it has context inside the plan, right? So now if we go to the row set and we go back, you see Jobly, the default row set is not this one. We want to do this one, set as the default row set. So now when they sign up, their default will be this, okay? Row set Jobly, right? So then we can also screenshot this, go ahead and give it here. Looks good. Renaming makes it better. And then go to all rows as well. And I'm going to go ahead and share this. And I'm just going to give that in. Here's the final setup. Okay. This bit, after this bit, you start flying. Like this is where we really start flying. Now move on to step 3, billing, right? And this is where we go ahead and do billing now. So let's go ahead and do free starter price. We can choose whatever prices we want. So if we go to our billing, let's go to our subscription plans or settings firstly. And what I want you to do is we're going to enable organization billing. So I forgot to click on the bloody organize button. Just go back over here for a sec. Organization billing, sorry. We go to enable organization billing. Firstly, hit save. And this is cool. You can require a payment method for free trials. And in the beginning, we're going to stick with the Clerk payment gateway. Once you go to production, you're going to switch to a Stripe account. Okay. So enable organization billing. Let's create our first plan. Now, we already have a free plan. So the free plan is by default done. So what I want to do is go ahead and do this. So free plan, starter and pro. Okay. So starter is going to be, let's call it $49 a month because it's going to be business facing. You can give them an annual discount as well. We can go ahead and do something like free trial as well. And features we'll do afterwards. All right. So firstly, let's go ahead and do that. And then let's go back. And you can see, look, we've got the free and the starter plan. Okay. Now the free, what I want you to do is just change the free to free key. Okay. And you can see we've actually got 2 features here, jobs and job read. So we're going to make sure that those are correct afterwards, which we should not, I don't believe we get those, but okay, we'll figure those out afterwards. So create plan, we'll say pro. And the pro plan, and again, you should be doing pro and you can give it a description and all the things as well. But in this case, we can just say $99 a month. You can give an annual discount for this one. Maybe we'll only wanted this one. We could say this one's going to be $90 if you pay up front for the year, which is a single payment of $1,080. Click on save. And now I say here, which features to enable for each. Okay. Now, in this case, the features are going to be which one that those organizations get by default. Okay, so we go over here, you can say, here's which features to assign to each plan when creating them. Okay, jobs read, team seats, unlimited postings. You see how it's giving us the layout. It's literally giving us the perfect starter, right? So free. Let's go over here and let's just keep it all simple. So in this case, add features. So we've got jobs and jobs read. So yes, and then no to these 2. Okay, so no to those 2. So those are fine. Free is good. Let's go over next to starter plan. Let's just make this a capital S just to keep things a bit nicer. And then here you can also say the starter plan for all, for example, the starter plan for all. Features, we want both of these features. We're going to apply those. And then we're also going to create 2 more features. And we're going to call these going to be team seats, right? So team seats and unlimited posting. So team seats, and this will be ability to invite members to the org, right? Team members, publicly available, yes. To limit access to this feature based on orgs. Yep, so limit team seats. And sorry, for this one, what you can do is just give it a nice name here. So you can say team seats if you wanted to, or 10 team seats. Okay. And then we can go back and we can go to Pro. And this one will have, we can say the best plan. I'm just going to be super wild so you can see it. Add features, we want jobs, this 10 team seats. And also, actually, I should have changed that one to be team seats, I guess. So we shouldn't have said 10. We should just say 10 team seats. Unlimited postings is the one. Unlimited postings. Okay. And then here we can just say a nice key. So unlimited postings. Ability to post unlimited jobs. Publicly available, yes. Right. And it didn't add all the others. So jobs, done. And right now that 10 teams, oh god damn it. So this first you hit save, and then we add the one more feature in, which is the unlimited postings. There you go. Come on, you have to add them all in. Sorry guys, screwed that one up. Yep, unlimited postings. I'll just put them in nice hierarchical. Let's just edit this one so it doesn't say 10 team seats, it just says team seats. Yeah. Update the feature. Now we have it. Okay. Okay. So hit refresh. And we're going to limit on our client side about the team seats. So why is it still saying 10? Get rid of that. 10. Yeah. Team seats. There we go. Okay. So there we have it. You need to create team seats and posting when setting up the plans. Yes, the jobs already exist from the row setup. The actual posting limits will be enforced in the Convex create job mutation by counting the active jobs. So we're going to enforce it on the front end. Now, it's worth knowing that Clerk are working on that, by the way. So if you look at Clerk billing, they actually do have that coming. If you look at the bottom of the page, that's why I love these guys, that they've always building stuff. So if you see down here, we'll have per seat billing soon. Paid add-on features, coupons, and discounts. They already launched trials. And then metered and usage-based billing would be really cool as well. Okay. And then, of course, you got tax support. So at this point, we're good to go. So, okay. Then I say done. Now, if we keep looking over here, create step 4 is create the billing plans. We already did all this. Oh, and sorry, you know what? In the plan itself, it actually had really nice instructions, which I probably should have looked at a bit more. We need the billing webhook events as well. So I've done, but I haven't added the billing webhook events. So I need to add your existing webhook. So we need to go to, when you're ready, go to configure webhooks, edit your endpoint, and subscribe to subscription and subscription item events. So let's go to webhooks, developers, webhooks. And then this is asking us to configure webhooks, edit your endpoint. Yes, this one. And we're going to go to edit. Sorry, not this, sorry. It was actually the this one. Where is my... Yeah, subscription events. So here, subscription, active, and subscription item. So all subscription item and also, and you see what's happening here, guys? All of the subscription stuff, active, created, past due, updated, all of this stuff, we've now updated it. There we go. So you see, enable, I mean, they just say created, updated, active, canceled, ended. Okay, maybe we'll just stick to that for today to keep it simple. Subscription, active, created. We don't do past due at the moment, but you can easily do this, right? Subscription, active, canceled, ended. So abandon, and we do active, canceled, ended. We're not doing these ones. Okay. So there you go. And then once all dashboards are confirmed, I'll build the code. So now I started to code for the next step. So we see here, started to proceed onto the pricing page, dashboard billing page, and you can see they're using the pricing table for organizations. Okay. So what we should see here soon is, the UI is going to start changing. And then after that, it's going to be feature gating in Convex. So it's going to start setting up some feature gating code logic, and it will update our webhook handler. And it also create the dashboard layout with the organization switcher component from Convex. So let's start looking at what it's doing, guys. And also you can do this a couple of ways. If you click on review, you can also see like all of the changes. So you can start doing a review flow, which is, I really like this page. So if you click on review, you can kind of just do a review. While it's coding, I can now come and see, okay, organizations. I'm happy with this one. So I can just go ahead and keep the changes on that file. Here I can see it's done a diff. So it's changed a bunch of my page. So in this case, let's make it a bit smaller. I can see, okay, so it's added inside of the home page, Jobly, user button. It's just a bit of a demo here. I'm happy with that. Then we can go through Jobly browse. So this is the pricing page. So in this case, Jobly browse jobs employer dashboard. And then it's just added the pricing table with the organization billing plan. Very nice. And you see, you can kind of run through. And like at this point, you can also go ahead and add to chat. You can do quick edits. You can do a bunch of like prompting back and forth. Okay. So over here, we're pretty happy with this dashboard job applications billing settings. This is going to be for the layout for the dashboard views, which is exactly what we want. That's a good pattern. And it's done that because it had the skills, by the way. So it knew to do, these are all good practices. This is stuff that I would be pushing if you were to do this manually. Okay. Can you do org row setup using Clerk MCP and ask Cursor to set it up? You know what? It's a good question. After this, remind me and I'll check. I don't know if we can do that yet. But it would be awesome if we could, because that would be really handy. So dashboard cards as well. And then you can see, you can kind of go through it like that. Okay. Now let's assume we did. I'm going to be a bit trusting here because I've done this a few times. So we can do jobs, blah, blah, blah. Now I can see these are the different jobs, the different types. So employment, full-time, part-time, status, active, closed draft, and also on-site, remote, and so forth. Then it changed HTTP. This is the webhook handler, right? And of course, main things that I look for when I scan code, right? What I'm looking for, is it using any typecasting? So for example, here, if I saw any type, I would immediately call that out and be like, no, we never do that. Okay. But I'm no longer checking a single line at every single thing. I'm more testing features and coding back and forth, and I make sure that the base skill set is strong enough to be able to code well. So I typically trust this a lot because I'm using Opus. Opus is a very good model. It tends to code pretty well. So I don't have to worry so much about everything. Plus I've got some pretty awesome skills that are installed, okay, which I showed you earlier. Update the dashboard logic, all clean. And then you see phase 2 is complete. Front end pages, and then the dashboard layout and the Convex backend subscriptions table, tracks, organization plan, and status synced from Clerk webhooks. So let's give it a try. So let's go ahead and refresh. And let's click on sign in. And let's do continue with Google. Oops. I hate when it does that, so I've done that myself. That's me doing that. So continue with Google, and then let's do Sunny. And now what we can see is we've got a few pages, right? So / pricing. So if we go to / pricing, now we should see that plans for every employer. And then I can see that we don't actually see the pricing table yet. So this is a prime example of when you test. So you see afterwards when it does it. So for example, my pricing table. So where is that? If I do Command D right now, I can have my coding view, which is a lot easier to navigate for me personally. And now I can see, okay, pricing, Jobly, plans as for every employer, and then the pricing table. Why is that not showing? Okay, so if we look into the inspector, can we see anything reason over here? No, we can't see a reason over here. Let's go ahead and look over here. Oh, everything seems good on this front. So at this point now, I can go here and I can say Command L, and we can say this isn't showing in the page. Right, now we've got some questions here as well. When it comes to Clerk subscriptions, which version do you recommend, both from personal perspective and companies' perspectives? I use a Claude Max $200 plan, and I also have a Cursor Ultra $200 plan. In my opinion, absolute no-brainers, incredible plans. I'm also potentially going to get a GPT one because I use GPT Codex as well. I code a ton, guys. So just do it based on your requirements. But in my opinion, the Ultra plans are really good value, especially Claude. Like Claude is a very good value plan. The problem is people burn through tokens because they don't know what they're doing. That's the main problem that I mentioned earlier. Even like a few of the things that we spoke about earlier when it comes to the context windows, right? So let's just double check here. If we go to our billing, I just want to double check something. So we did enable billing, organization billing, yes. B2B. And now we can see, now try refreshing the page. So set to publicly available, not on the individual users tab. Oh no, I screwed up. Oh, damn it. I screwed up. I know what I did. Okay, so if we go to pricing, subscription plans. No, I didn't. Okay, I did organization plans. This is correct. Yeah. So they are here. So let's see what's going on here. Interesting. So view command A, and I do network. And the reason why I disable the cache, do a refresh. Well, it's actually calling the plans. They're coming through. It's just not rendering out. So, I mean, you could actually have the Clerk browser here. So the Convex cursor browser. So we can be like, let me close this out, sorry. Let's go ahead and say, check in the browser. Maybe app browser. And now what it will do is you can even use the cursor browser. So this is going to use a tool call. And again, keep an eye on your context window, 134K. We're still good for now. You see that it navigated itself. Okay, very weird. It loaded it for that. So there you go. It does loads. The page price table isn't rendering. It did actually render for them. So let me see. So localhost 3000 pricing. Interesting. Maybe it's because I've got a few things running. I don't know. That's very, very weird actually. Let me just double check in here as well. So localhost /pricing. No guys, I know why it is. I'm very silly for this. All right. So the reason why this is happening is because we are a user which doesn't have permission to see that pricing table. So the reason why this is happening, so now what we can do is we can stop this execution and be like, the user that I am logged in as likely doesn't have the correct permission to view the organization pricing table. Help me fix that. Because remember, only admins typically should be able to access this, which means for an organization pricing table to even exist in the first place, we must create an organization. That's the problem. Right now, this is a plan for an organization and there are no organizations yet. We didn't create a single organization. So again, you see the fundamentals can break things. So it should have, it should have actually picked that up, but in this case, that's a flow issue. Okay. So the user is right. The pricing table is this. Yeah, there you go. So this is actually incredible. It should be at the dashboard. So it should be dashboard. Let's just look at the dashboard and you can see dashboard settings. There you go. So this is the one that we actually wanted to see. So now I can stop this and I can even say, we don't want a / pricing page. We only want it inside of the dashboard, as a user must have an active org and the correct permissions to modify billing. Because think about it, you don't want everyone to do this. And this is one of the multi-tenancy issues, right? You need to have an active organization. So we have to put it behind the dashboard, right? So that's one example of, and again, you could talk back and forth to this and be like, well, and eventually it will get you there. So I deleted the public pricing page because typically every person is going to be a free member. And then instead, we need to have it inside of the dashboard creates question when an organization is active. The layout needs to gate all organization dependent content behind an org check. So you can see here, no org is selected. And here you go, guys. No org is selected. So now we're in the dashboard. So if I go to just the home page on the dashboard, there you go. So now I want to have a different flow. So you see, that's very nice on what it's doing. We can say if add an onboarding flow for the first time a user enters the dashboard. This will be to create their organization for the first time. And you see how we're kind of flowing through this right now. So now we click into this. Let's go ahead and close this out. And again, like because we're doing a demo right now, I'm typically kind of jumping over some of the checks, but typically I would be checking everything. While that's happening, what I also recommend you do is every now and then what you do is every time we finish a phase, you would have checked, be happy with it, commit that phase, right? Obviously, because we're doing a demo, it's the first time we're doing this approach. There's a lot of things for me to learn on live stream while I do it with you guys, but that's just worth noting as well. Okay. So at this point, we've got layout.tsx. So use organizations. Now it's starting to check it. Yeah. Here you go, guys. Welcome to Jobly for employers. So the first time you come to this page now, so if we're on the home page, right? Oops, not that one. So if we're over here now, for example, we'll have this landing page eventually. We just go to /dashboard right now. And then you see loading. First time, create organization. So in this case, we can say, let's create our organization is called Papa Farm. Right, and we can add a logo. So I'm going to go ahead and add a logo here. I've got my Papa Farm logo, create organization. And this is creating an organization and adding our user. And look, invite new members. And we've got 3 different rows. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Jay as a recruiter as well. Or actually, I'll invite my other account. So team at papareact.com. I'm going to invite another member to the team, invite, send, finish. And now what we should see once we click on finish is a redirect flow. So when we click on finish right now, we need to set that up. But in the meantime as well, you'll notice that we should have redirected. So you can just simply go ahead and debug that on the onboarding flow. So we can just say on onboarding, when user hits finish, it should refresh dashboard. Okay. So that's one thing. And then while that's fixing that, and again, now we can see we're inside. And if you did have, this is the multi-tenancy part. So B2B orgs, right? Let's say, for example, I wanted to have several different memberships, right? Each organization has a different billing plan, which is why in this organization, I will now have a billing plan for this organization, multi-tenancy, right? So if I go here and I create a different organization, maybe let's call this one Jobs Are Us. Right, they didn't need a picture, for example. Let's let it do it the bug fix, and then we can test that as well, actually. So let that do its thing quickly. When user finishes creating an organization, new membership triggers. Yeah, right, I'll refresh. So create organization, and then skip the invite flow. There you go. Nice, right? So now you see how each different tenant can have different plans. So I'm going to upgrade this one to the starter plan. So if we click on this right now, starter plan, now you can see it pops out, and then we can go ahead and pay. So in this case, right now the header shouldn't have Z index of So in this case, the header has a Z index of, it's not refactored into a header. So remove header Z index as it blocks pricing overlay. Now, there is a way you can actually make that pricing overlay have a higher Z index, but I'll be honest, it's a bit hacky, and I don't think you should be doing it. I think that's something from Clerk side that they'll fix. But right now, this should have a Z index of like 1 million, so it's always on top. But in this case, if we were just to get rid of that, you can see that. There we go. So that's fine for now until we need that bit fixed. So let's pay with development card or test card. And you can see like this person can access jobs. And again, you can change these names, right? So right now I've just done it simple, jobs read, team seats, right? Team seats, unlimited posting and so forth, right? So you can do all that stuff. And again, even the team seats, I haven't restricted it for the invite flow yet, but you can do that on your own accord, okay? But now, just to show you that multi-tenancy is active here, if you're going to Jobs Are Us, they will not be on the starter plan. They are on the free plan. You see how each different one has members that are invited, and also billing. And I want to address this comment right now. So Jay, let me leave it. So he says, Hafiz Ahmed says, vibe coders don't write code. They cosplay as developers, stack 40 animations on a broken button, call it minimal, and pray the bug fixes itself before the demo. My advice to people like this, guys, is cut them out. Just don't have that negative vibe around you. In the end of the day, like you either get along with it and you get good at this, or you pretty much fall behind. So completely up to you guys how you want to approach that. But yeah, it's worth mentioning that kind of negative vibe just not gonna fly in the Papa Fam. Papa Fam, you're gonna get eaten out. Like, pause. You're gonna get eaten away by the community if you carry on saying stuff like that. Okay, so settings. Here we have organization. So this is actually an inbuilt screen. So this is actually a very cool screen I want to show you. If we go to dashboard settings, so if I go to page, and I can see dashboard settings here. You guys can see. I want to show you guys here. So organization profile. This is one component that literally handles the entire settings side of things, right? Just kidding, just sure I'm joking. Nah, see, it's funny. When I call people out, it's always a funny catch 'em situation. Guys, I'll call everyone out if you're negative on the channel. So, but yeah, the reality is that you want to make sure that you know your fundamentals. Otherwise, yeah, people are, it's naturally going to cause issues on that side. So let's start building into the flow of things. Okay, so the next feature is phase 3. So what I would do here is typically, again, the typical flow that you should do. Review everything that I've spoken about, right? Once you're happy with it all, then what I'd want you to do is go ahead, commit. So in this case, let's just say we committed, we were happy with it. I'm not going to do every single step because we're live. I don't want it to be like a million hours long. We stage all our changes. We can commit those. Again, don't just use this message, actually use the correct message and so forth. But now we've got a clean branch and then we're ready to proceed into phase 3. If we do Command D, back over here. Before we proceed here, I want to check my context window, 155K tokens. Once we go over 200K, we're going to go ahead and have an issue. So what we want to do here is click on / and we have something called summarize, right? And now if we do this, it'll summarize the chat context. So Claude Code also has this as well. But what we're going to do now is we're going to drop our context window from 155K way down. And now the key is we have a plan. So it doesn't matter if we do this, right? If you didn't have a plan or you didn't save your plan, then you'd be in some bad situation, or if you reset your context, because then the new AI session that just is about to start won't have a single clue what's going on, right? So this is how you keep your costs intact. So at this point now, we go to, this will drop down in a moment. And then while this is happening, we can just look at the next plan step. So we type in plan, you can do indeed. So we've already done phase 2, phase 3. Key functions, it's the jobs themselves, like, the API itself, list active jobs, get jobs, list organization jobs, create job, update job, close job. Applications, apply to job, list applications for job, update application status, all this kind of stuff. Now, look, chat context summarized, click on this, and you can see that if we go over here, well, it's hidden away. So that shows us that it actually did. And I'll show you that it's a lower value. So we can say proceed with P3. Okay. So now P3 will pop up, and then we can see it should go ahead and say proceeding with phase 3. And if it doesn't know what we're talking about, we can simply go back up. User wants to proceed with phase 3 of the plan. Yeah. And you see it just read the plan again. So that's primarily showing you when it's summarized, it needs to read the plan, bring the state in. If we go into the context window now, 77.2. Right? So keep it under 200K. If you're using Opus, keep it under 200K. Unless you have a genuine, seriously complicated app that you're working on, you don't need to be over 200K tokens and get billed double API keys. That's why people are rinsing through when they're using Opus, if you didn't know, right? Now, guys, I hope you're finding this kind of these tips and tricks useful. So please, like I said before, destroy the like button and make sure you go ahead and get access to the code base. So that way, when I drop the new community, the AI agentic workflows, open Claude tutorials, all that good stuff, you'll get access to all of that stuff. You'll be the first people to know, and you get the code for free. So it's a win-win. Okay. So moving on with P3. So besides all of that, it's basically all the API stuff. So if we go down here now, you can see it's created a to-do list and it started to run through it. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. So firstly, it's all the API stuff. And you can see the reason why I like this flow is because what we're effectively doing is it's also teaching you actually the correct way to do software dev, right? So this is actually like the APIs. You build out all your APIs, but first your queries, your mutations, all of the backend stuff. This is all the backend work, the logic, the wiring that gets things done. And you can see, look, how it says authenticated, authenticated, authenticated. These are good practices that it's implementing. And it's doing that because of the skills that we've implemented, right? So as it does that, let's dive into it. Applications.ts, application return validator, apply to job. This is a function that takes a job ID, a cover letter, resume. It knows who's logged in because we have that user identity function. And then it will go ahead and basically check if the user exists, the job, and then it does an insert application flow. Okay. So you can see the way that coding is going. Don't get me wrong. Like the reality is that yes, you can slate on those who are doing this approach, But the reality is that even if you, like, I'm just saying hypothetically, even if you had no idea what you were actually doing, if you did this enough, the repetition itself would teach you a ton and you'd still be ahead of someone who wasn't doing it. So in my opinion, either way, you better start practicing with this stuff. And it goes without saying, if you can code and you can use AI IDEs and AI tooling correctly, I'm telling you guys, it is the most powerful time to be a developer right now. It is incredible what you can do as a developer right now, right? And I love it. I love this space right now. I have agents. I have like 10 open multi-agent flows going on right now. I have literally an AI team. If you want to know about all of that stuff, then like I said, just subscribe, like, drop a comment on the channel, and your boy's literally gonna be on smoke getting this content out. Like, I've been shooting so much stuff lately. It's such an exciting time to be alive in the coding space. So anyone who's worried and stuff, you need to just catch up. You need to make sure that you're just leveraging, you're learning, you're staying ahead of the game, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's just dive into this. You can see we are using use query. By default, Convex is real time, which is awesome. And again, like all of this stuff, like dashboard card, you jump through, you can see this doing its, but what I do find is here, dashboard card, like these things, you see how the dashboard card is inside the dashboard page. Again, what can happen is you end up coding a bunch. What I'd recommend you actually do, and also, I don't know if I actually set up shadcn. Oh, I didn't actually set up shadcn. Whoops. Yes, I didn't actually do shadcn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a refactor job afterwards where it adds in shadcn. So I should have done that. Yeah, I should have done that. I'm just realizing that components are empty. So it's doing everything in line right now, which is not good. We don't want to do that. That's why I was wondering. It looked a bit like boring, the app. So yeah, something to know. Command E, come back here. What I'm going to do here as well is let all clean, phase 3 complete. Here's a summary of everything that was built. Backend, so apply to job, list application for jobs, backend, get organization stats. Dashboard now shows live stats. Okay, so let's do this. You must understand your stack and have a plan. Otherwise, vibe coding is just styling chaos and calling it development. 100%. Very, very true. I like the change in energy now, Shafiq. Welcome to the stream, dude. All right. So in this case, if we go back over here now, yeah, there you go. So you can see if we do a refresh, go to overview, you guys can see for yourselves, look, team members, number 1. Yep, we go over here. We've got members. We've got a pending invite to my other member over there. That's awesome. Okay. Now, this obviously is being styled all manually at the moment. We can do a quick little pause here and actually say pause and update the plan to include shadcn, design components and design, enforce best practices with components and folder structures, and use the shadcn MCP server, right? Before I hit that as well, I'm going to go into plan mode with that, hit enter. And while it's doing that, I'm going to make sure that we actually have the shadcn server installed on this project. So in case I haven't installed it globally. So what we do is we go to docs on shadcn, go down to MCP server, and you see we have it here, right? So you can either do it like so, or you can click on cursor and you can simply do the init client cursor, but I believe it will do it for us. So if we can do it on the side just to show you, but if I did pm dlx, now you can see it's going to initialize cursor. And now you can see it's adding it in, configuring the MCP server, installing the dependencies. And then there you go. So now we have the MCP server installed, and it's installed it locally for this project. And you can see that by going to, we go to cursor mcp.json, and then you can see shadcn latest. So it's added it locally here. Now, again, remember, I keep saying locally because you can either have them installed locally or you can have your MCP servers installed at the global level. So these are like global levels. I use these ones all the time, but just know that you can also have it at the other level as well. Okay, and I guarantee shadcn will have a plugin soon, so you don't have to do what I just did. You just install the plugin and then you're good to go. Yeah. Okay, so now it's starting to do a plan. And again, why is the plan approach good? Because like we said before, it uses Composer. Composer is a lot more effective in keeping our token usage down. Okay, and if we were to go here right now to settings, cursor settings, go to our plan and usage, you can see right now 1% of our API was used, right? So not much, right? It gets reset in 12 days or so. But Auto and Composer, absolutely nothing. Like you see how it's very efficient with the sub-agents. So we've already built all of that and we only use 1%. And you might be wondering, well, hang on, mine's using 10%. That's because you're blazing through it without handling your context windows, all right? So it's good to know all of this stuff. So in this case, it's going to go ahead and add all of this. So now it's doing a shadcn UI refactor as well. So a project has the following: step 1, initialize shadcn, Tailwind will create blah, 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 install shadcn components, and so forth. And now what I want to do is, you see how we've got some parallel work going on right now. So we've got this, you know, over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, so let this do its thing, build remaining 4, MCP usage, key files references, So I'm going to actually, so this is more of a refactor and install. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this plan to the workspace. Okay. We're at 150,000 tokens. So I'm going to now go ahead and say summarize. So I'm going to start summarizing here. I'm going to open up this side widget. I'm going to basically create a new agent and say, I created a plan in a different agent session that you will be responsible for coding. I will give you the plan in just a moment. Oh, yeah, I humanize it too much sometimes. You don't need to do that. Yeah, in just a moment. I'll give you the plan. The plan, you can just say the plan is here. The plan is, and then basically give it the plan, right? So this one, we saved it as shadcn UI refactor. So in this case, the plan is at plan, shadcn UI refactor. And now what we can do is, this whole thing is called cursor, guys, right? So we go down to the bottom. Once it's summarized it, I can say here, just to prepare it in advance, I have handed off this shadcn UI refactor to another agent session. Go ahead and continue with phase 4 of the build. Okay, so you see what we're doing now. I basically I've gone ahead and passed it off to another one, right? Now, you can take this really far and go ahead and do the entire refactor on a Git Worktree, which is a whole other thing, because now that refactor could break a bunch of stuff, okay? So we could even do this approach now, okay? But I don't know if it's worth doing Worktrees as well as what we talked about today. Kind of want to get you guys to a smooth point so it's not going to be too intense for you guys. But let that do its thing, and we can actually kick this one off straight off the bat. So I'm just going to do it locally. So now both agents are going to be modifying locally, so they may clash. But if you ever do a worktree is basically going to be like it's on its separate branches, and that is the way that you want to get to that point. By the way, I tend to have several agents running at once, like literally 5, 6 of them running at once, and I'm jumping between each one. And the reason why I'm not stressing is because they're all on their own Git Worktrees, and they're effectively got a local Git PR flow. So they can basically like work on their individual trees, and only when it's ready, it merges into one. And then we can create a PR to our main, right? Or, you know, whatever you've decided to do. So go ahead and continue with phase 4 of the build. There you go. So now we've got 2 agents running in parallel, right? So one is doing the shadcn UI refactor. The second is doing the job website landing page. So it's doing phase 4 now. So user wants me to continue reading phase 4. So now it's carrying on with phase 4. And you see how it's read the plan. You understand what's going on. And the reason why I want you to understand these kind of patterns, the parallel workflows, that kind of stuff, is because you're really going to get a good understanding of, like, if once you start doing like agentic stuff with OpenClaw and things like this, you can have really amazing automations, workflows, pipelines. And we do it right now in the Papa Fam, and it's damn awesome. I have such an efficient team flow right now. It's crazy. Effectively, you can say I've 10x'd my team by having AI agents work inside of the team now. I have a team of 10 AI agents right now. They've all got cool names. They all follow the characters from the show Silicon Valley. Follow me on Instagram. Down below, you'll see my handle. If you want to go ahead and follow me, it's just at @SSSSanga. And I basically am going to drop loads of information over Insta, so you guys can feel free to check that out. But look, phase 4 is in flow. So let's go ahead and have a look at what phase 4 was. So let's go to our plan, Indeed job, and you can see phase 4 is the front end pages. So the landing page, the job page to be able to browse the jobs, the job details page, and also the public view and the ability to apply public pricing page. We don't actually want that. So I think it should go ahead and get rid of that. Can create shared components, all install. So it's actually, okay, no, I was going to say, yeah, this one, yeah. Git Organizations. So it's going to end up doing a refactor over the first one. So if you were to do this correctly, really, you'd probably wait for the first one to do its thing. And yeah, but it is what it is. I should have done a work tree. It's fine. I can show you both flows and how to fix it afterwards. Because again, you're going to find yourself in these situations. So let's carry on. So go down to here, P4. So in this case, let's see what it's doing. Add public jobs, add public landing page, remove empty pricing and server divs. Yep, that's cool. Update proxy if needed, verify the build. Cool. So now heading back over here, we can see that this one is now doing the refactoring on the shadcn side. And this would have actually installed like all 13 shadcn components installed. And this is going to be a big difference on the UI shortly. So this is probably going to fail or when that happens, because we installed a bunch of stuff. So if we go over here now, you can see down here, it usually tends to happen. So what we can do is we cut the server and we can do a pm dev just to restart the server. And that might kick up another thing in a moment. And then you can see both are running in flow. So they're kind of doing their thing. Let's go back over here. Trust me, once you know what you're doing, you can be an absolute animal and code like in awesome ways, man. Honestly, like even you can have cloud agents running. So if we do Command Shift P, you can see if I do cloud, create new cloud agent. So you could literally set a task like one of these. So I could do the refactor onto a cloud agent. It can then go ahead and be building in the back. And then while it's building in the back, I can basically go, I don't know, maybe go get some food, come back, review the code it did on the Git Worktrees. If I'm happy with it, merge it into a tree. So you see, we can actually get really nice kind of flows of what's going on right now. And this should be a good thing for you guys. Like before, it used to be pretty much, you'd be debugging for ages and this, that. And there was an era where that was awesome, but now times are changing. You have to get up to speed with it. Okay. Dashboard refactoring is in progress right now. And look, let me refactor all the dashboard pages in parallel using subagents. And you can see here, look, it's using Opus subagents. Okay, so interesting. It's using Opus subagents here. And this one is using Composer 1.5. Okay. So depends. And by the way, what I'd recommend as well is that for the more simpler things, auto mode is more than sufficient for you guys. I'm on a live stream right now. I don't want it to be dumb and mess things up. So I'd rather have it in Opus and I don't mind paying. Okay. So let's see what's going on with this. Now let me add the job building. Let's hit a refresh. Do Command J. And this is unexpected turbo pack. Okay, so we typically, I think we have it running. Let me run it again. pm dev. Okay, so we have a turbo pack issue right now, likely from the shadcn install. We got a bunch of work going on right now, to be fair, so we'll let it do its thing and then we'll come back here. But even if phase 4 is complete, let's see what it did. So phase 4, new landing page, jobs browser, jobs detail and apply page, and also custom sign up and sign in pages. Remove the empty app pricing and then the app server directories. Yes, added in the sign up URLs. Route protection remains unchanged. Anything in dashboard is protected. All public pages remain open. Ernst, what's good? He goes, what's up, fam? What's up, dude? TypeScript compiles cleanly with 0 errors. Okay, cool. So that's good to know. And now we need to address this other issue. So firstly, check your context window, 128. We're good. Let's go down here. Command J. And sorry, no, Command J here. We want to have, and to basically what's happening now as well is it keeps spinning up both, right? So I just want to test the front end. So I can do Next.js. So I can do pm dev front end, and I can have them running in separate terminals to be fair. So I can say pm dev front end if I wanted just the front end. And we can actually minimize that for a sec to give us more space. I can split this terminal and I can do the same thing. I can say pm dev backend npm dev backend. So now I've got my app running, my Convex running. So sometimes you just need to do it separately just to kind of like, iron out that little bit of a glitch. So in this case, there you go. That's a bit cleaner now. So I can already tell it's your shadcn. So we go to Jobly. Hey, that's looking cleaner. Okay, very nice. So Jobly, find your next opportunity. So firstly, let's search the jobs. Let's have a look. So we have no jobs available yet. So we're going to do some seed functionality afterwards. We've got some base filtering. In this case, we don't know if this is working, but let's see. We can check that afterwards. Employer dashboard. Let's click through. Boom, we are in. Let's go to our jobs. We can see create a job. You can see we've got a full job workflow here. We've got the application flow, billing, and settings. Nice. Okay. So what I would recommend now is we need some test data, right? So in order to get this down, what I'm going to do is pull this back open. So this job is now done effectively, right? Let's say we went through it. We checked it. It was all happy. No, sorry, the shadcn one. We're pretty happy with this. All good. Now let's go ahead and archive this one. So it's done its work. Well done, right? Now let's create a new agent. And what I want to do here for this new agent is I'm going to make this one a seeding agent. So this one is your job is to seed data based on the plan that we created. So I'm going to give you the plan and I want you to seed a bunch of different job applications for some fake organizations, some applications, basically seed out a bunch of data. Also create another component which allows me to pass my clerk user ID, and then you should seed my profile data. And also allows me to pass in my organization ID, and you can seed all of the job postings and fake applications to those job postings. So yeah, do that. I'm so blasé with it. Yeah, sure, that would have maybe been an efficient spend of it, but who cares? It's fine, right? No, and don't do what I just did. Click stop and do plan mode. Yep, and a plan mode first. Now over here for this one, again, what would you do typically before you did anything at this point? You'd come here, make sure you're happy with it. Then once you're done, you'll commit your message. You'll generate a commit message. Again, typically these are already too big, right? So you'd want to be doing these at smaller chunks, but then you have a clean branch. Then you proceed with the next workflow, right? So we're phasing it out. Okay. Now, next up we have, let me know guys, any questions from your side as we do this? Because we've got like over 150 people still watching this, right? Questions from your side. As I'm building this, ask me your AI questions. I want to know because it's valuable to everyone. I guarantee a ton of you have the same questions. So this is now seeding out, and you can see that it's checking everything, public job browsing and application, employer dashboard. So this is now checking the database or the code base thoroughly. It's checking the Convex schema. And also I forgot to give it the plan. So let's see, did it find the plan? So we can either interrupt it and go back. No, it did find the plan. So let red indeed job plan. There you go. Okay. And then let's carry on with proceed with next phase. And now you can see we've got it running in nice flow. Okay. Guys, go ahead and destroy that like button if you're enjoying this video. All right. I think what I'm going to keep on doing stuff like this. I mean, even like just more live streaming with the more raw format. I think now it's gone ahead and shown that it's pretty cool, right? That you guys enjoy this stuff. So Hafiz says, how do I build an ID like Cursor using Cursor itself? To be fair, the funny part is you can actually do that. You can actually do that. You can actually go and just fork off a VS Code and then use Cursor to code that repo and basically build out your own Cursor, I guess. Obviously, there is a bit of a backend to it. Obviously, a big backend to it where they have their own like composer agents and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah. So in this case, we've got our seed script ready. Let's have a look. So this little shortcut, by the way, is, I always forget this one. It's Command Shift S or no, I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So what gets seeded? Your profile in org, one user record, blah, 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 blah. Your organization record, one pro, subscription for your org, 3 to 4 postings under your org, fake data. So it's creating a Convex seed function. It's creating a component seed data function. And client component, React component seed data. We don't want to have a component. I want script. So No, I don't want a component to this. I'm just gonna say, I mean, you could do a component, but I say I just want scripts that I can execute that will allow me to just generate the data that we need. I don't need seed data components. Hard Tuber says, is this anti-gravity? No, this is actually cursor. Okay, so in this case now we'll go down and then you can see here. So this one now in the next phase, if we go back to the seed is doing its thing on the other branch, just do plan, indeed job plan. So now phase 5, we are in phase 5 territory. So we are in key integration points, organization scoped Convex queries. When employers interact with Convex, pass the organization ID. The Convex auth identity include organization claims. So that is effectively, you know, those role-based access controls that we talked about before. Billing webhooks, optional enhancement. Optionally listen for clerk billing webhooks to sync plan status to Convex. You don't know, we don't actually need this one. I actually shouldn't, I should have checked this one. The returns plan is in the front. Plan. Okay, no, so that's fine. Convex reach return current plan job limit, active job count for the org. So there's a cut. Okay, look, in the end of the day, you don't need 5.2. You could just use. So I'm gonna say here instead of 5.2 billing webhooks, we can use clerk as source of truth and use clerk components such as protect and the has hook to implement our authentication checks. The extra sync is unnecessary. So basically what that was saying is that this would effectively be a clerk synchronization between clerk and Convex. That we don't actually need that because we don't really need to store the user's subscription inside of Convex. Clerk handles all of that, right? We should just let Clerk do its thing, handle it, and then we basically just restrict the user using the hooks and the components that we have got from Clerk, right? Hafiz, thank you so much. He goes, by the way, you're doing a great job. You're the first person I've seen who actually has a complete understanding of Stack and knows how to use vibe coding properly. Hey, love that, dude. I appreciate you. So data seeding for the job, this looks okay. So how would you trigger the seed script? Convex dashboard, CLI script, I run from the PTM because of Convex mutation, both internal plus convenient CLI. Let's just do both. Yeah, because we want a function that we could run from the Convex dashboard, as well as one, we need a script that we can kick off from our local. So yeah, npx convex run seed, you see like stuff like that's kind of nice, right? And you see the benefit of doing plan mode. Plan mode tends to take way less context and tokens as opposed to when you just jump straight into agent. When you jump straight into agent without a plan, you're burning tokens, my friend. I promise you. Like, I guarantee you're just going to fire tokens and you're going to be constantly in this weird loop of just fixing silly bugs that should never have been a bug in the first place. All right, phase 5 is complete. Add plan usage query. Return to current plan name, job limit active, and whether the org is at its limit, the powers all the front end feature getting UI. No, we didn't want that. We did not want that. We wanted it to be, yep, see, look, leverage clerks. We didn't want to do that. So that was an example of where I would have actually taken the time more so to check the plan. Obviously, we're live right now, so I'm just being honest with you. I didn't check it thoroughly enough. But yeah, we don't need the subscription table and synchronization logic. That's extra bandwidth for no reason. And again, you wouldn't notice that at the small user count in the beginning, but as you got there, let's say you became a unicorn, you got 1 million users tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to be a big cost and bandwidth for constant synchronization of subscriptions, which you don't need because you'd be paying for Clerk anyway. Let Clerk handle it. All right. Data seeding plan has been updated. Drop the React components, both seed and clear. Yep, there you go. So now we've got our seed components. Let's let that build. So in this case, we can build it a couple of ways, but we can actually trigger a build from this here. So we can either do it from here or from here. So I'm going to click on seed data build, and you see how that triggers that build. And over here, you can see instead of using 5.2, now it's still thinking through. And again, should have probably done that in plan mode, but again, here you say good call. Using Clerk as a source of truth for billing eliminates the need for the subscriptions table, the billing webhooks, and the server-side plan checking in Convex. You see that? We don't need any of that additional complexity. And this is a prime example, guys, of where AI can go and overcomplicate stuff And that is going to burn through your tokens. And it's not even the correct way of doing it in the first place. So if I had just let it do that, that would have been a very big inefficiency inside of the app, right? So I think that these tutorials more than ever are really like kind of important. Cohen Jar says, please say my name since I'm watching this during working. You can catch my attention. So you can catch my attention. Have you used majority of AI editors already? Which one would you suggest based on performance and cost? In my opinion, look, I've tried a bunch of them. They're all pretty good. I mean, GPT's Codex one, I haven't actually messed with too much, the new one. But in my opinion, I just have a thing for cursor. I like the way the keyboard, the shortcuts are, the way we have the agentic views and all that kind of stuff. The cloud agents are pretty cool. I will either be coding in one of two ways at the moment. And again, I'll keep it real with you guys. I either code in, so I don't know if he's listening, but Cone Mjar, like his username, this is for you. But I tend to code right now either on Cursor. I'm either doing it on Cursor or one of my OpenClaw bots. So I have a whole dev team, AI dev team that code. It's awesome. I'll make videos on it if you want them. But basically, I either do those in OpenClaw, and they're directly modifying files, and they each have their own like work tree branches that they work on. And then there's a review flow, and there's like a whole PR automation bot and everything. It's pretty damn awesome. But they will directly modify the actual file because it's the most efficient way of them working. So yeah, I would use Cursor, but my agents don't use Claude Code. They just directly modify files and do stuff that way. But they do it with their own versioning history and work trees. Remove subscription. Yeah, see, look, lots of red. Get rid of all that code. Good. Right. Let me fix it. So even the seed file, you see how even that has to delete the subscription data. So in this case, So in another agent session, we actually removed all of the subscriptions data so that we can keep Clerk as the source of truth. Your files have been updated as a result of this from another agent. So make sure that everything is working correctly in accordance with Clerk being the source of truth. Let that do its thing, right? Memo Asadi goes, thanks, Sunny, for doing this live stream. I'm learning a lot from you. Are you using Claude Code subscription inside the Cursor chat? Are you separate Claude Code chat inside the Cursor IDE? Oh, nice. Okay. I didn't even think of doing Claude Code inside of the Cursor IDE. I like Cursor's flow with things, to be honest. But one, I'm glad you're enjoying the video. And two, no, I have separate subscriptions all around. I have Claude Code Max that I use for stuff. And I have a Cursor Ultra, which is my personal one. And then GPT Pro, I'm probably going to get, to be fair, because I burned through my plans like quite a lot. So yeah, it happens. When you code a ton, it happens. But yeah, I have separate subscriptions. So I pay like 200 per subscription. I think I pay like 400 at the moment, but then I tend to go over and I pay IPA. Remember, the API rate is way more expensive than the plans. So just know that. So the efficiencies that I'm talking about today, very important for people if you want to keep your budget down. Basil goes, I'm a Go dev. AI makes a lot of mistakes for me. I use MCP plugins, etc. It's not good for Go. Love the video. Firstly, appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's not that it's not good for Go. It's that likely the way you're using, chances are the way you're using your skills. If you're talking to your AI and it's not pulling in the skills enough, just do a / and force it to use a skill. For example, if I want to force it to use the front end skill, make sure it does that. And again, do plan mode more. Chances are, I guarantee you're probably not using plan mode enough. Plan mode is a big deal. Trust me. Do that and you'll see the big difference, right? Data seeding for the job. Let's see, we got this now. Yep, this is awesome. Everything is handled in good shape or removed by the other agent. Yes. So now what I want to do is say, show me the commands to update things. So while that's happening, what we can do, guys, is we can go over to our clerk. I want to get the users or the organization ID. So we've got the Papa Fam and we've got Jobs R Us. Papa Fam, organization ID. So you got clerk user ID, So seed the database past your real clerk ID as JSON arguments. So in this case, it's actually given those. I mean, I kind of wanted it to do its own seeding in a cleverer way, but I only want to pass to you either the clerk user ID or the organization ID, and then you're supposed to write a script which generates a bunch of like demo data for that. Yeah, this should have done that. Let's go back to the job website landing. See this? So next to job architecture is now simpler. Clerk owns all auth and billing states. There we go. Okay, now let's go have a look. So let's see, no job postings yet. Now remember, on this one in the billing section, or the settings, sorry, we go to member and we can see we've got an invite flow. So this is a recruiter row. So firstly, let's check that the gating works, right? So I'm going to actually accept this invitation. So I'm going to open up my emails and I'm going to do it in a separate screen quickly so I can just go ahead and make sure that nothing sensitive shows. I'm just going to make sure that that account, the email pops in correctly. Okay, so so what you'll see is boom. So you'll see something like this. 1 minute, guys. Let me try and get this in a way that I can show you. Oh, basically, you'll get an invite flow, right? I mean, there's not much else really to say about that. I mean, you get an invitation here, invitation at accounts.dev. You see Sunny Sang has invited you to join the Papa Fam organization. So I'm going to click on accept in that invite. And then now what we'll see is, oops, I've done the same mistake. Sorry, guys. I've done that annoying thing that I do. I'm already logged into the account as well. So what you should have done is don't do this. I need to log into my separate profile. You need separate profiles when you test like this. Email, blah, blah, blah. Caught my attention. Thanks for the in-depth answer. Awesome. I appreciate you, dude. So I'm just going to log into the separate profile. And in Arc, what I do is I have separate user profiles. And that helps out a lot with testing in case you've never done that. So now I'll accept the invitation. And then what we'll see, guys, is, oops. Oh, I keep doing that same thing. 1 second. Very frustrating. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you what I mean. So if we're here, so on the left side, I am blue. On this side, I am, so let's go into the actual website. So let's go into localhost 3000. You see, I'm not logged in. So green, different user profile. So I can just swipe between different user profiles, okay? So I'm going to sign in. No, actually, let's do it on this one. So I'm going to do it on the purple. So on purple, I am in a different account. So let's go to this one. So let's assume that, you know, I'm logging into the team@papareact.com account. So continue, Google team. Oh, no, wrong one. Sign in, continue, team@papareact.com. So let that do its thing. Continue. And now usernames, let's call this one, let's call it team account. Just, you know, make it a bit simple. And now there you go. Okay, so in this case, obviously you can set your redirect to be an appropriate place. But if we go to the employer dashboard right now, welcome to Jobly for employers. So this hasn't joined them in. So that's interesting. So if we go here, I can see the member invitations. Oh, I didn't accept it. That's why, oops, my bad. So yes, I didn't accept my invite. So if I go into this and I go into accept invitation, now it takes us back to the app and the invitation flow. I don't know if it accepted it. No organization selected. Yep. So here, Papa Fam. Right. So again, you can iron out these tweaks. To be fair, you can actually have it go into a, hey, welcome to the organization flow and so forth. Right. But in this case, that's fine. So when we redirect it back, it didn't do that. So what I can do is I can actually create a new agent and I can say, when a invite is sent and somebody accepts the invite into an organization, let's create a nice onboarding experience for that user for the first time inside the organization. So we can go ahead and do that. And you can see that I've used 50% of my included API usage. So it's worth knowing what you've done. Okay. If we click on this right now, you can see, look, I've used 3% since I've been live. Okay. So still for pretty much the entire app, like most of it, 3% is not bad, right? So now you just pass two IDs, clerk user ID and the organization ID. Okay. So let that synchronization thing happen in a sec. So let's synchronize. Let's add some seed data for this user. Okay. So what we're doing is we need to get this user's ID. So this organization. So I'm just going to pass in the organization. and I'm going to say for this user. So I'm going to go to my user and I'm going to go ahead and do user ID. Cool. And then user ID. And let's just say generate seed command. And then look now and invites in. Okay, so that one's going to add an onboarding flow. Over here, let's go down here now. So, okay, we had our plan. What was our other plan? So let's go back to our Indeed plan. Phase 5, summary of clerk requirements dashboard. So I think phase 5 is the final bit. Build invoice, query invoice, able to implement feature gain, how to protect. So I'll just say what's next. Yeah, what's next? Let that do its thing. Come back over here, gave me the command pm seed. And in the package JSON, that means we've got a seed command. So you can see that npx convex run seed. That's it. And we've even got a clear seed function. So I've given that. So it's going to generate the function for me. Command J. Let's do Command E to go ahead and pull it in a bit nicer. Open up a new terminal. Let's go ahead and paste this in and let's see what happens. So now it's going to go ahead and do hopefully an seeded import. So npx run convex seed. And let's see for ourselves. So if we go into our app, and now you can see it should have added a bunch of users into our app. So seed was created. It had a success call. And if we go into our data, we can see applications. Whoa, okay. So we've got loads of data, loads of applications. We've cover letters. We've got loads of jobs. Yeah. We've got organization. Yeah, we've got some fake organizations. We've got some subscription we can delete. It's got an asterisk next to its name, which means it's done. Users. Okay, so we've got a couple of seeded users as well. Cool. So now our seed is done. Ah, yeah, now they go. There you go. Nice. All right. I don't know what noise I just made there, but anyway, let's go to jobs. So this user, like, hey, this is awesome. So now I can see the job, product manager. If I click into it, I can see edit the job posting, applications. So you can see like I can change their pending, reviewed, accepted, rejected status. This is pretty cool, right? So location type as well, on-site, employment. So in this case, if we do remote or on-site, save changes. There you go, saved. We've got nice toast notifications, which is awesome. Applications, let's see, we can see a bunch of different sample applications. And again, this, look, we can sample, jump through them. Again, you can build this out however you wish, right? But let's look at the front end. If we search for jobs, now I can start seeing some jobs, right? Hey, we got Mike from Wales in the UK. I believe that's what he was saying. Michael Davies, what's up, dude? Good to see you here, right? So what I want to show you guys next is basically, yeah, so if we were to apply. So first things first, my actual application. So me as a user, right? I never went onto my profile, right? So in this case, look, I haven't applied for anything, but I don't have a profile. How am I going to apply for anything? Right? So look, this is the employer dashboard, but we need to separate the flows entirely. Right now, it's confusing. Do I go to this? Do I go to this? Like, what would a normal user do, right? So in this case, if we typed in software, maybe a solutions architect, if I wanted to apply, like, so say I said hi and I click submit, you're about to apply to solutions architect, confirm and apply. So I applied, but what really applied, right? So we don't actually have the full flow here. But the good news is it didn't fail, but the bad news is we don't have anything actually done the right way, right? So if we were to test this properly, look, jobs, let's find one in here, intern software engineering. So intern software engineering. So software, well, it says that's our own jobs. So we can't apply to our own ones. Okay. Software engineering, maybe, was it software? No, okay, so we can't apply to them if it's our own dashboard. So, okay, that's fine. So what I want to show you is more so the actual My Profile experience now. So you see on the actual app here, edit My Profile. So we need to have this kind of flow, you know, like a LinkedIn kind of My Profile page, right? So we need to explain this flow. Right, so now what we can do is we're actually done on the main kind of bulk of the app, right? So look to me, good. Now this one is the invite flow. Which direction feels right? Oh, so we should have been in plan mode there. Oops. Here's a few directions we can go. Welcome modal overlay, multi-step guided tour, full onboard, quick start checklist, get started. Welcome. Let's just do one. We'll say go. Job website. What's next? So this one, we've done this. At this point, the MVP is functionally complete, right? So it's not actually really. So, oh, and look, 196K. So what I want you to do here is go ahead and do summarize to make sure we don't hit over 200K. Otherwise, we're going to start burning through tokens. And in the meantime, I'm going to change that to plan mode and start planning the next bit. So I'm going to say, currently, the user can apply with a cover letter. However, this is not ideal. We actually need a My Profile page. And what happens here is it's effectively like a LinkedIn page. We should be able to add our work experience, all of our previous education fields, any skills that are relevant like keywords and things like this, as well as all of our details. And it should look really nice and modern. And then when we go to apply, it should show that this data is about to be shared with the company, and it should show us our profile data that's going to get shared with the cover letter. This way, you basically create your profile, and then you can go ahead and apply to a job. And then on the employer panel side, we need to go ahead and actually pull in that information. So we need to actually go ahead and pull in the information for the candidates and show it. So that way, as an employer, we can review the candidates at depth. Okay, so I'm not getting the project files for Next.js performance. Interesting. Okay, so just send us through an email at team@papareact.com. We can help you out. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go into plan mode. So you can see, go ahead and hit enter now. And then over here, this is started to do the onboarding flow. The seeding is now done. Okay, so I just want to check. So I just want to check question. I'm going to say, and you can do an ask as well. So I can say, can a regular can a regular person who is part of an organization apply to a job that was listed inside of their own organization? So I have a question now, so I can switch it to question mode. And then that way you can go ahead and ask a question. So the onboarding experience as well now, it says it's done. So we can actually test that out. So I can go ahead and do some of the tests right now. So we go back over here to find your next opportunity. Let's go to our employer dashboard. There we go. So first time you come in, you've been added to the team. Here's a quick look at what you can do. Browse job postings, review, get started. Nice. Now if I hit refresh, we shouldn't see it again. Now, if we were to dive into that code, let's see, add a member onboarding table in the Convex schema, which tracks users that have completed onboarding for each organization. You can do it this way, right? So I'm not going to say that this is the wrong way of doing it, but in my opinion, this is also not the most efficient way, right? Typically, what I would say is, isn't it more efficient to go ahead and use the public metadata or private metadata of a user inside of their clerk user field? So that way we don't have to keep on querying the database to make sure if someone has already completed their onboarding or not. And now I switch it into plan mode. Because basically, every time you come onto the page, what's going to happen is it's actually going to check and do a little call to the database. And now that might not seem like an issue, but that's not actually very efficient. Whereas the metadata for the user who is logged in, that's fine. That's an awesome place to store onboarding information. So you're absolutely right. That's a much better approach. And obviously it's a little bit biased at times. It is always biased, but true, it is actually way better. Okay, with zero extra database queries. So see, it's good to know about fundamentals. Okay. Now in this one, let me look at the employers details page to understand how applications are displayed to employers. And I also want to create another agent to say, put it in plan mode. I'm going to say, currently the landing page is very confusing. The initial people who land on the landing page are specifically going to likely majority be people who are applying to jobs. So it should showcase features for those specific individuals. Maybe at the bottom and also in the header, we can say for employers. However, it should be a very clear distinction. Right now, it's kind of hybrid of the two, which is very confusing. Let that do its thing. And then go back over here. So now the onboarding experience, this plan, let's go have a look. 1J, pop over here. Why is this better? Currently, every dashboard load, let's see. Currently, every dashboard page fires a Convex query. This is stuff that you would never know unless you knew what you were doing. right? Clerk's public metadata is already embedded in the user session token and is available client side. No network call needed. So changes, create a server action to update the metadata, update the welcome modal, update the dashboard layout, remove the Convex onboarding infrastructure. Cool, build it. Next one, data seeding. Let's double check over here. So here it says, yes, they can. The apply to only checks 3 things. User authenticated, job is active. The user has already applied to that job. So I want to double check something actually. So if we go to jobs, so that's a draft. That's why I couldn't see it, guys. But product manager. So in this case, let's go back to here. Let's go search job, product manager. So let's apply to this one. Just want to test something. Hi, click on submit. Now let's go to my applications. I can see that I've submitted this one. Well, it should have shown actual submission, but yeah, you can see that it's pending. Okay, even notifications we can implement and so forth. But you can get the vibe. Like, you know, even if I didn't rebuild everything, you can see exactly how we would get there, right? If we go to jobs, for example, right now it's coding, so we're likely going to get blocked. And again, this is another reason why Git Worktrees are very handy as well, because it would right now everything's changing local, which can be dangerous, right? So it's the onboarding here that was started to code on here. Landing page. So let's have a look back over there. Applicant first landing page. The current landing page and page gives roughly equal weight to applicants and employers. Yes. Restructuring is 100% applicant focused with employers just by a header and appling and a compact, clearly separated section near the bottom. Yeah. That's very much better. Right. Build it. And typically, yes, I would be thoroughly checking this stuff. Job website landing page, user profile system. Let's have a look. This is the big one. Phase 1, schema and backend. Add profiles table to Convex schema. Cool. Create Convex profiles. Get my profile, upset profile, get profile by ID. So you can see it tends to follow this API approach, right? Build the support, the database tables. Then go ahead and build the backend functions. Then build the profile page UI, right? Which is how we can effectively access our profile. Phase 3, update the application flow, right? Replace the simple cover letter with the form with a multi-step application experience. When the user clicks apply, they have to check if they have a profile and so forth. Number 4, employer candidate view. So upload what they see on their side. Now I want to implement something more on this. I'm going to say, we also want to be able to upload files, which could be things like resumes or resources inside of the user's profile section. The employer can then see that in the application itself. So as part of the application. So use Convex file uploading to implement this. So that's how we're going to implement file uploading. Okay. Then that'll do this thing. And you see, because we have the plugins, I can be pretty sure that it's going to know how to do all this stuff, right? Michael Davis, are you creating multi-tenancy using a single database or database per tenant? Very good question. No, it's a single database. Effectively, we have you can implement different types of security layers if you want, but we have a single database, and they're simply just references to each different tenant's information, effectively, right? So you have one huge like kind of table, and then basically the references are the things which is what the queries are grabbing from. Same with the mutations and so forth, and then our queries and mutations should be the ones where we implement our auth card. Right, and you can do that at each call level, or you can do that at also each at like a proxy.ts level. All 5 things are done. Applicant first landing page. Okay, so the landing page has now been completely changed up, so they say. So let's have a look. So firstly, that looks cool. Let's go back to Jobly. So search jobs. So recent job listings, nice. It actually pulls in, so that little delay, initial delay, is where it's loading those. So that's kind of cool. So actually these are real, right? How it works, browse jobs, create an account, apply with 1 click. Built for job seekers. Are you hiring? Nice. Employer dashboard, boom. Then we go to the employer dashboard. That's the flow that we wanted, right? If I go to a fresh user, see if I go down here, are you hiring? Post a job, click it. And then look, create an account, because that's going to take me to the org flow, right? So that's a fresh user. Very nice. Okay. Now if we go back here, let's see as well. So now what we can do is we're happy with that. We can discard it. Okay. So onboarding experience. This one was, did we start building this one? This was for There's someone now. The onboarding check now reads data from the clerk session token. Yes, very nice. This is effectively what we want to do. And now you can see that we've removed an entire table. Okay. John says, I'm not a dev, but AI has been a game changer, especially when we learn workflows and popular tech stats from smart people like you. Insane stuff. Thank you so much, dude. I'm really trying to open the channel up now to everyone, so everyone can harness the power of AI. And it's actually, initially I was like, you know what? Oh, it's a shame because I love just coders learning this stuff. But no, everyone should know this stuff. Like everyone should be able to build awesome stuff. That is the new separation of who's going to win and not. Right, those that are willing to learn the stuff and put the effort in to get the results that they need, right? Okay, so in this case, that's good. Onboarding experience is done. We're happy with that. And again, like I'm skipping over a step here where I'd effectively be checking that stuff, but that's what you would tend to do, right? User profile system. So uploaded files as downloadable links with file type icons. There we go. So again, you would check through the plan, make sure you're happy with the plan. So in this case, you would run through. Make sure you're happy with it. In this case, let's assume we're all good. We're going to build. Okay. And by the way, yeah, I just want to throw it out there. Even if you are on a Cursor Ultra plan, right? Again, I'll say it over and over and over again. Chances are you probably don't always need Opus 4.6 running. When I'm actually coding a lot of the time, the thing is, if you're new, then the chances are you'll be better off just using Opus 4.6 out the bat. The reason being is because if you use a more dumb model, to put it simply, you'll end up running around in circles fixing like bugs which Opus 4.6 probably wouldn't have made. And that token spend in repairing and debugging and everything will probably rack up to the same. So don't make that mistake. And also use plan mode first, because you see the difference. Like with plan mode, we're able to get really nice results with the plugins and stacking on top of it as well. And that makes a huge difference, right? So now we got profiles added in. User ID, headline, and you see the referential database structure. So these are referencing user IDs, experience, education, skills, and the files. And these are storage ID. There you go, storage. And of course, I'm showing you how to do Convex file storage, okay? You could just as easily swap this out for AWS S3 and then basically still use Convex database, but the references to the files could live on S3, right? If you wanted to. So you can really mix and match your tech stack up. And not once have I copied and pasted code, because that used to drive me crazy when people say, you copy and paste code. Like I have shown you, we've literally vibe coded this together the correct way. Let me know, by the way, while we're waiting for this to happen, what's your thoughts? Do you want more builds where we're vibe coding like this together and sharing the tips and tricks and kind of approach? Do you even want me to prep something beforehand, or should we kind of literally build it from scratch on the live stream? So this time I prepped something so I could show you beforehand. So I prepped like, an example of the entire build. But a part of me is like, maybe we start with a completely blank project and I build it live in front of you instead. Like maybe that's a better, more genuine approach as opposed to me having a bit of a idea beforehand and then kind of building it out. Let me know. I'm really curious because like I said, this new series is going to be guided by you guys. Okay. So even here, let's do search jobs. I just want to check the filtering. So if we do on-site, internship, okay, let's do part-time. There we go. Okay, so that's working nice. And again, even the search right now is probably very basic. This is a local search. You could do debouncing and do a complete query-backed search. Right now, this is not going to matter because we only have 15 active listings, right? Whereas typically, you'd actually want to go ahead and do this in a way where you debounce this input, okay? So in this case, we could do that right now while this is actually building. And I'm going to stick another agent on it. So let's do auto. Cool here. So I'm going to use auto plan. I'm going to say for when a candidate is searching for jobs, at the moment, the search is local. This is not going to scale well. We want to instead add a debounce and have a query fire off after the debounce is done. Let's say the debounce is 2 seconds for demo purposes. You can use Lodash to make it really efficient and so forth. Show me the architecture. I've shown you. We've used Convex in the back end of side of things. Make it efficient and so forth. Yeah, let's do that, right? So now we're on auto plans. This will be a way cheaper prompt, to be fair. From scratch. And I wouldn't call this vibe coding. Vibe coding sounds more like no experience, no plan. This is AI software engineering. I love that. Jay, let's note that one down. That's very true. Maybe, yeah, because I had the same feeling. I feel like vibe coding has a very bad stigma to it. I think we call it AI software engineering. Maybe AI software engineering. It's very good. It's a good point. Let me know. Well, guys, have a think. What's the easiest name that sticks with you guys? AI software engineering? Yeah, let me know. Because vibe coding, I do agree. I feel like it has a bad stigma to it. And we're not doing that. We're actually AI assisted coding the right way is good, but AI assisted coding is kind of like, I do like the AI software engineering. It's kind of quite nice, right? But yeah, let me know, because I think this is going to be huge for a lot of people. And I think even when it comes to building automations, open claw stuff, I would be happy to show you guys. The only thing is with that, I think I have to do dedicated videos because those tend to be a bit more risky in terms of what might accidentally show. And I use that stuff a lot. So debounce job search query, here we go. Page loads all active jobs, blah, blah, blah. But this does not scale. Every client receives a full set and does not local filter and does not local filtering. Search input is debounced 2 seconds after user stops typing. Location and employment type drop downs continue to apply immediately. They only change query arguments. They need to debounce one convex query. Yep. A Lodash, new convex query, search active jobs. And here we go. So name of this thing. This is better. Browse jobs page, debouncing query driven list. Backwards compile. Keep list active jobs as is. Only use switch next page. Convex search indicates for stats. Yeah, nice. Build it out. And now I'll go back here. Let's see. Yes, everyone should be interested, but I'm so bored of seeing a lot of posts on LinkedIn who's paralleling agent. What do you mean exactly? I think it's more important to show beneficial use cases of how you can do stuff, because as much as I see a lot of AI coding talk, I don't see raw coding tutorials anywhere, to be fair. So I think it's a gap that I understand why people don't do it, because things can go wrong, but I think people need to see that. So look here, my profile. Let's see. Okay, my profile is still being built. Let's see. Yeah, it's still being built. Here we have it. Cannot find public function, so it's still getting built out here. Yeah. So the reason why we can see as well is if we have a look over here, guys, you can see this is typically when it's building. This is again front end, back end, Convex running, right? And by the way, if you haven't used Convex, is awesome for this stuff, right? We're not even sponsored by Convex. I'm just saying they're very, very good for what they do. And they're very, very quick at deploying, and the kind of everything that you need is kind of there off the bat. And the same clerk, auth and billing handled. So you can kind of focus directly on the actual thing that you want to build, and just that stuff is handled for you, especially with AI. Like those two, in my opinion, are absolute killers. So this will debug itself afterwards. It's still building it up. So let that do its thing. Let's have a look on the job search debouncing. You can see it's added in Lodash. I believe I just saw, yep, Lodash, there you go. Almost like tuned in from Kenya. Sunny is at it again. Yo, what's good? Good to see you here. Oops, I accidentally hit it. There you go. Right, let's see. The job installed new dependencies outside the sandbox. Okay, so interesting. I thought it would have done that. PNPM install, and let that do its thing. Lodash happening, boom, go back. Let's go see the not this one, that's still getting built. Let's do search jobs. Search active jobs. It's because it can't deploy because the other tree is blocking it, because the Convex can't add in the function it needs, because this one is still building out. So if we see the to-dos, create update, so likely if it doesn't fix this, we're gonna have to, now check for linter errors across all modified files. So it tends to be what you can do here is if you have this kind of same experience here. So member onboard table is missing, as mentioned in the conversation. So let me check. Member onboarding table was an explosion. Must have already been in the state. No, so it's not. So this one is actually going to be we use the clerk metadata. So to monitor user onboarding for org stuff. We don't have a B2C onboarding flow. Let's add that in after. So while that's happening, we can also go ahead and have a look at this. So again, I like to have many screens open, like as in separate screens, because otherwise when I try and minimize things, you see this stuff just happens and it gets very annoying because I can't show you guys what I want to show you. So I'm just going to keep a second one open here, PMPM dev backend. The onboarding flow is already handled by clerk metadata, and the B2C onboarding flow is something we'll tackle separately later. Yep. So now it's done the user profile system, but it's got 2 TypeScript errors for the profile page. Yep, this is the one. So I found it. And now once it's done this, you'll be able to deploy all of the changes that we should have made, and we should be good to go. So look, Convex function's ready. And now we hit a refresh. There we go. So it's loading the jobs. Now if I do HR coordinator, you can see now 1, 2, boom, triggers a search. So I've obviously made it slow to show you guys what's going on here. So let 1, 2, boom. All right. So junior developer, and in this case, oops, junior dev and jobs. And that it's a bit too slow, to be fair. I don't know why that is as well. A lot of times, again, you should always be testing your flows as well, right? So here, where was that one? Job search debounce. So fix this, plus also make debounce way faster. Debounce way faster. All right. Now back over here. Let's carry on. So job website. So last one we did is the metadata. Oh, he actually went over and started doing the debounce itself over here. Stop that. Yeah, it's gone ahead and doing it on this one over here. Search active job names. So let's let this one run because this is running Opus. This is better. Okay. Now while that's happening, we need to do a few more things. I need to have a user onboarding experience. So we need to generate. We need to create a user onboarding experience for applicants. When they first create an account, or if they don't have a profile configured yet, we should have an onboarding experience for them. And then I'll say, store this inside of the clerk public metadata, similar to how we did it for the organization. So use the same approach, whatever we did for the clerk organization, do the same for the user, the B2C route. Now we can, oh, no, don't do that. Stop. Again, plan. And also stop. I'm going to do, just for the sake of this now, because I don't want to run into long time to debug, we're going to jump into this. Yeah. And you can see so far in this build, we've went from 46% to 55%. So B2C onboarding flow is to prompt new jobs, blah, 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 blah. So even here, oh, look at that. I had a feeling something went over. So 257. So now those last 50K tokens would have been quite expensive. So at this point, this is a huge, even if we keep summarizing it, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. At this point with this one, we can shut that, right? So that one's done. So I was wondering, it jumped up 1%, and I was like, okay, it's probably likely we went over the 200K. And now we're back over here, 41K. So you see, guys, can you understand now that if you didn't manage your context window, you would flame through your stuff, like your tokens. And that's what they technically want you to do. It's quite a clever model from them, because if you don't know what you're doing, then of course you're going to just burn through your tokens like nuts. Memo Asadi from scratch, perhaps dedicate 3 to 4 minutes to brainstorm together with those who join the stream for ideas, text, and perhaps to decide on the planning phase at the beginning. After that, you can continue. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a pretty good approach. I think the idea itself, we would have to have some kind of idea before a little bit. Otherwise, it would be kind of be dangerous because we may not come up with a good idea on stream. So I think we'll have some backup ideas, and then we can obviously go live and start live streaming it together and coding it together and everything. That'll be a very cool way of doing it. Cool. So next up, we have the create user. So a few things from the final build, right? You can see this is just UI stuff that I basically just kind of, prompted my way to get here and so forth. And again, if you want those kind of UI differences, so obviously if we look at this one, it's very basic right now, okay? This is very, very simple design. You can set an agent on that entire experience. So while that one's working, let's go ahead and do something. I want to do skills.sh and I want to do web design, front-end design. This one is pretty awesome. It actually comes up with some really nice stuff. The color and the theme, so forth. So you'd install this and then let's just say, for example, create a new agent. And then here I would say, plan a full redesign for the app front-end design. So you see front-end design, upgrading supposed to is a design or design, web design guidelines, right? Plan a full redesign for the app. We want, let's just do a plan redesign for the app. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an open, and let's just keep it on a plan mode, and let's just see what it comes up with. All right, applicant onboarding flow. Let's see the current state. The onboarding B2B organization working flow works as follows: user public metadata onboarding organization IDs. If the user has no organ IDs, it renders the onboarding flow. That's very good. The current B2C side currently has no onboarding. Users land on the homepage, can browse jobs, and must manually navigate to profile to set up their profile before applying. Mirror the organization onboarding pattern exactly. Store a profile onboarded true in the public metadata. Create a server action to set this flag, and then we basically render out the UI accordingly. Create the following, server file, layout, and then we have the applicant onboarding wizard, multi-step. Nice. No middleware changes needed. And yeah, that's actually a very good flow. We should also say, if the user has not created their profile, then don't let them submit an application as a result. And of course, because we've done all of these changes with the user profile, our seed data is now likely wrong. So what we'd have to do is clear our seed data and then basically do the same kind of approach that way again. Okay. So going back over to here, where was I doing? Going back over to the app itself. So let's look at my profile now. Hey, look at this. It's very nice. And we have documents, upload. So in this case, save your profile first to upload documents. So we can seed it if we wanted, but we can say like senior dev, Papa Farm, I own it. Okay, London, on. Again, you can do seed. I'm going to create a seed file. I'm lazy here. Let's just create this and then let's say upload a file. And let's go ahead and do, for example, there's a picture of Silicon Valley. Let's do upload. And you can do drag and drop and so forth. And there you go. We've got that. We can download that file if we wanted to. Skills, let's just type in React. There you go. TypeScript, AI. Yeah. Education, nice. Okay, we can add in education fields, work experience, nice. We've got the about field as well, and personal details. Okay, so this is kind of cool. We don't have copyright, guys. I don't know. The AI did that. I'm not saying that. Now, if we go to my applications again, that's cool. And you see how we can you can kind of you keep going to get to that point that we want. I don't think it's even that super valuable if I get to this exact point anymore, because I've run through a lot of the things that pretty much we could do here. So organization, yes, we should have implemented this. Oh yeah, we can change one more. Yep. And then yes, build. And now at the end of it, I'll say, once you're done, I want to have the seed scripts all updated so that we can freshly seed in new applications, profiles, also have one to seed our own user profile with the profile information, experience, and so forth. Yeah, do that. So that will go ahead and do the update and seed. And that's good because it will have the context of the new changes that we've done effectively. And it's at 87. So now, do you have existing seed scripts in the project? I have seed scripts, but not sure where. And I know where they are. So, but not sure where. So I'm just going to be lazy there and it can figure it out itself. It'll go ahead and search through. Let me find the existing seed. And this redesign is, So typically it will ask you questions about what you want for the redesign. And that's something I found that if you use Opus, that would be something that I'd recommend is a bit more better at kind of, figuring out what you're doing. But I want to see what the auto gets to a point of doing, right? But this is cool because look, using these two skills, front-end design and web design, not only does it do like a different design approach, okay? But it also will give us a really cool thing. So when we come to do the web interface guidelines, it does things like accessibility, things like this, focus states, forms, the correct labeling, all that good stuff. It's going to actually go and do it to that level, which will get you a much better SEO ranking, a few other things like that. It's very cool that these two skills. Okay, so file check reference, and it's got some success criteria. Yeah, screw it. Let's do this thing, see what it does, right? User onboarding over here. Applicant onboarding flow is now. Yep, now let me read the results. And then afterwards, it should do the seed data. Oh, it's writing it now, I was going to say, yeah. So now I have the existing script is creates all the user's application, but does not create any profiles. And the clear function doesn't delete profiles. Let me update the plan to include this. Nice. Cool. So now that that's done, you can check through it, but we're just going to run through it and we'll check like fake profiles, headline, summaries, education, experience, and so forth. Build. And now we're doing a redesign and we've got an onboarding flow being added in. We've got a question here from Memo Asadi. He says, can you explain again how to manage the context to keep the costs lower? Both cursor and Claude Code. Yeah, so typically you have this cursor context here. In cursor, I like it because I can see this, right? For OpenClaw, I created my own dashboard, so I can basically see what my context is with any of my agents at any time. That's been very handy. So I have a red bar if it goes near 200K. And also for Claude Code, you can do a / command. I think it's / usage, I believe. And that will show you basically how to do it there. Let me double check actually. I think I actually can just show you my Claude version now. So 1 minute. So if we do no accept CD documents builds, and this is Jobly YouTube app. Okay. So if I was here, 1 second guys, Claude. Okay. So if I open up Claude Code, so I've got Claude Code running here, missing API key. Oh, okay, I need to log in again. But the point is that this is on a usage plan at the moment. But if we did / usage, yeah, usage, show plan usage, and I think even context, yeah, visualize current context as a, so you can see this. If you see context, yeah. So you see 550 free space, 154K, or compact buffer, and you 1K out of 200K. So again, for these models, it's fine if you go near it. It'll kind of auto compact or summarize. Compact is what you call it inside of Claude Code. But for Opus, know that you got a million context window, which is awesome. But trust me, most of you don't need that. So don't go past 200K. Otherwise, you're going to start paying double the API limit. And that's where people are getting burned. Because they don't realize they're at 700,000 tokens every request. And then imagine that every single request is even if it's caching, reading, it's still got to use that read cache cost. So let's just do this read. There we go. Okay, so it's starting to do it. I mean, again, it's not an Opus, so it's probably not going to, in my opinion, it's not going to do that nice of a redesign, but it's looking a bit corporate right now. But Opus, you can get to really nice levels like this. Where I basically just explained, okay, I want to have this nice warm feeling to it. I want to have these floating bubbles that kind of float around. I want it to be completely mobile responsive. You see, you can really, and I even said I want container queries instead of media queries. Container queries work per component, right? They tend to be a lot better. But even that, okay. So, I mean, it's starting to do stuff. So let's give it a chance, right? And see. App redesign. But a couple of things. While this is happening, all right, while we let this do its thing, so the user onboarding experience as well, and the seeding. Yeah, so while this is happening, I want to go ahead and show you, more importantly, yeah, so what made this all possible today, right? So something that has made it a huge value add today is organizations in Clerk. So Clerk billing, Clerk authentication, sorry. So even in here, like inside of PapaFam, you can see the members here, the invitation flow, the subscriptions. You got all of the billing handled for you, the payments, the settings. Guys, like I'm telling you, if you have to build this yourself, it takes time. And there is so much, by the way, there are so many areas if you do this manually where you can go wrong. And that's one thing that I don't think enough people are understanding. If you do this manually, even if you think you vibe coded every corner case, I guarantee I could call you out on 5 edge cases of what could happen. Danny Act says, bro, doing this live is crazy. I love that. Yay, we're getting back to that crazy live feeling again. And that's what I love. Like, honestly, I love doing stuff that you guys find crazy. So I appreciate that. I will happily do more of this if you guys enjoy it. All I ask is that you destroy the like button. That's it. And I'll keep on doing this stuff for absolutely free, guys. And like I said before, go through the link in the description when you're signing up to Clerk. It lets them know that you came from this tutorial, and it lets me do this for you guys for as long as I can do this for. So massively appreciate you all. Okay. Make sure you use that link in the description. Okay. Now let's see where we're at. And I think it's worth mentioning final questions and that stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll give a demo of the app that we've built. And then I've obviously given you the code for this final app. And there are differences, of course. It's always going to be that way. You know, but you can feel free. I've given you all of the code for this, even the saved stuff, the notification stuff as well. Notifications, it's very actually simple to build. In fact, while this is happening, we can even go ahead and, you know, speak to an agent right now and say, I'm planning to add in a full notification system. So when a applicant gets changes on their application status, or if an employer gets a notification of a new application to a job posting, let's go ahead and create a full application, a notification system. This won't include email for now. You could definitely do that, but for now, we're not going to include that. But yeah, there you go. That's going to come up in the transcript, but it's fine. Right. That can be added later. Okay, there you go. All right, so let's just let that do its thing. I'm planning in full note. And by the way, for this one, I would probably go ahead and do Opus. But in this case, I'm not going to do Opus because one, I've saved the tokens. It's more just a demo to you guys, like how I'd recommend we do that. But again, stick it in plan mode, let it do its thing. Okay. Now user onboarding experience. Let's see, files moved. And I believe it's done. So all modifiers completed. Let me do a final summary of everything done. Applicant onboarding, nice. Multi-step onboarding. So let's test out the onboarding flow. So also the redesign is getting done. I'm not a huge fan of the redesign, but it is what it is. It's okay. Let's do paparat.team@gmail.com. I would recommend for visual stuff, in my opinion, Codex 5.3 has been good at doing logical stuff at a good price. And then I found truly that, what's it called? Opus for creative work is just way better. Like designs, Opus is crazy good. Let's just do test user 1, 2, 3. So now I'm inside. So okay, so I mean, I got to that, but I'm wondering if I go to search jobs and I go here, set up profile. Okay, nice. Yeah, so then it'll run me through. So if I say, I don't know, hi. Obviously, you can add in your own validation. Hi.com, www, and LinkedIn. Let's continue. All right, work experience. You can skip for now and so forth. But yeah, cool. Complete setup. And now, when I welcome to Jobly Sunny, boom. And you can see, if we refresh, cool. Okay, so you see like prime example of how you could do that. And right now we have saved profile. You could even make it real time by default with Convex. Quite easy to do that. There you go. So that's the onboarding flow. We have the backend onboarding flow again, which we saw previously. You can click on the job postings again, modify the entire, like the status of it and all that stuff. Status actually we can't change the status. So like here, we've got statuses of job postings. So again, this stuff, like you need to test it, of course, right? So even here, like edit job posting, we should do a new, which is currently, as an employer or a member inside of an organization, I should be able to change the status of a job posting. Currently, if it's in draft, there's no way of me changing its status. Also, if I do create a new job posting, there's no way of me modifying the status. Hey, we got Siren back in the chat. What's up, dude? Let's do that auto plan, spend that off on the plan. Let's do, so I'm playing a full notification system. Let's see what it did. Now, I don't know if I'm actually going to kick that one off in a moment, but just here for now, before we carry on, I want to show you just the redesign aspect of it. So redesign, this is different because 70.6% context on auto plan is totally different to Opus, right? So here it's gone ahead and done a bunch of different things. Now I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the redesign of this. Yeah, it did a decent stuff, but it looks a bit old school. In my opinion, you see, this is a prime example of Opus versus like an auto model. So just prime example, right? Like this kind of difference is what you can expect as a difference. Yeah. So when you're doing the UI stuff, I think it's handy though, because I get to show you both, right? So you get to know for yourself like what the differences would be. And that's also a visual example of what code output quality could be like, varying two models together. Okay. So full app front end redesign, application onboarding flow, which we tested. We're happy with that. We can disregard that now and that one as well. Application notification system. So here, let's have a look. So recipients, emails are identified. Users ID, employees are identified by organizations. Org members saying clerk. Any user viewing dashboard in that org selected will see that org's notifications. So you see, it's basically set up a whole organization system, notification table inside a Convex, applicant or employer. And then you've got different types of notifications. And then Convex create notifications from application events. That's much better. Yeah. So when we do an apply to job or when we do an update application status, and so forth. Convex queries are marked as read. Front end, bell, and drop down in the dashboard header, yes. Links and copy, yes. Testing in edge cases, nice. Okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's build it. So let's get that going. Job posting status. Let's have a look. Job posting status here. We have Convex schema. Jobs have status active, closed, draft. Yes. Create job always has this, so forth. Backend allow creating jobs as draft and optional org check. And then a new job page. Choose status when creating. Optional hardening, ensure only someone in job can update or close. This is very important. So typically when you're planning it out, you would 100% want that. Otherwise someone else could come in and close all of your job postings. So of course, at this point I would say yes, optional hardening is a mandatory thing. New job page, choose status when creating, edit job page, full status, control of assets, and then jobs list. No change required to anywhere it shows. So this is a yes to all security, hardening, and optionals. And then of course, like, and now I'm kind of racing through to show you guys like the final stretch, but the main thing really is like you see before, right? Especially it looks great. Oh, so you like it? Which one is being used by Jobly variant that used Opus? Oh, this one, the code is in the repo. So you can check for yourself and actually pull all of this, but it's really nice. Like it was actually a very, very modern approach. Even what I love about what Opus Design did was, you see, that's not white. That's like an off-white, which is so like designer friendly. Like it's really nice. Whereas they always say like a true black or a true white is never a good UI. So these are pretty cool things to consider, right? But yeah, you guys can see for yourself, like this is the one that we built out. Not today, this is the actual one I've given you in the code. You can see even here, like we've got your member, role, member, and so forth. But the one thing that I actually didn't do is I didn't show you if it was gating correctly for the rows. So we should have built this out already. So let's just check something if it works. So if we go to Jobly, and for this user, we should see it's going to for employers. Okay, let it build the notifications out. But basically, one thing I want to check is when you're invited to the app as a recruiter or a member, you should not be able to manage the billing. That should be gated. And then also you should be checking for your criteria for things such as the seats and also the jobs, number of jobs available. So that way it's in line with your pricing constraints, right? So these are a couple of things which obviously we've spoken about. I've given you the actual code case and I've shown you how to implement feature after feature after feature, the good practices to kind of implement as well. I don't think it's worth like before I would literally show you line by line by line to get there. I've kind of given you all the tools to do so. So I think this is more useful than actually going through and doing it anyway else. But let's just see that could not find public function. Okay, so let's order unread count. Okay, so these are issues. So say fix this. And again, this is a prime example between Opus and auto mode as well. So you'll have to do a bit more manual debugging if you're using a cheaper model. Danny Ike says, what a time to be a developer. Yeah, 100%, dude. Job posting status, let's have a look here. Nice. That'll be done in a moment as well. And again, every time, something that I showed you in the beginning, but we kind of skipped over it, is every single time that a specific feature is done, I'm not blazing through it and kind of not reviewing it. I would click review. I would go through. I would actually review this stuff. Like in my code bases, I never let AI slop inside. Like I'm truly like checking this through a ton. And what I actually do is I actually will have trained sub-agents, which I have using OpenClaw. So I have OpenClaw agents set up, and I basically will bring them into a repo, and I have certain like a ruling and skills that I've set them up with, and they have specific roles. So I have a QA agent who will basically come in, and he will QA and basically do the things that I typically would have checked for. So every time that I would check for something, I'm like, oh, maybe this guy should do it. So I give it to the QA agent and I train him, and I basically make him do it. And then I basically say, okay, once I finish a code base, I come in, and then he will basically go in and just vet the entire code base. And it saves me a lot of time. And then I've even created a PR comment hook. So when my agents submit PRs, which they do, and it's very cool, they submit PRs. And if I'm on my phone and I can like say I'm at the gym, I can basically just comment back and say, actually, don't do this. And then they have a whole feedback loop where they learn and they basically get everything done. If you guys want to know how to do all of that, tell me by basically signing up to this right here. So go to the link in the description, fill out the form. Not only will you get access to the entire code base, you'll be added to the waiting list for the new community. That is where I teach all of that stuff. Okay. So it's going to be wild. And I need true coaching calls to be able to do that. And that is what I did in Zero to Full Stack Hero in the beginning. But now we need a new community for the AI advancements, because it's fresh, different way of thinking. It's absolutely incredible what you can do. So going back over here now, let's have a look. So refresh for employers. Let's see. So now we've got a bell notification icon, no notifications yet, but then we got this. We can change the states, which is now good. We can make that active and so forth. There we go. Very nice. We can change the status over here. Let's go ahead and do, go back over here. Yeah, it does work, because now you can see if I go here, I can manage, but you see, I can't actually switch the plan. You don't have permission to manage the plans, but I can read the plan, which is why I had the permission to do that. So that is awesome. So this member right now is us recruiter. We should not be able to, we can create a job. So we can create a job posting. We shouldn't be able to do anything else. And I'll show you this in real time now. So if we go to, and this is true B2C on the front end and B2B multi-tenant on the back end, right? So localhost 3000, so this user, if we go to the dashboard, is this in the correct account? I don't think I am. This user hasn't got an account. So, and also, by the way, in the actual main job lead that I showed you in the first build, I customized the user profile button. So you can check out the code for that. Very simple. And because you have the MCP installed, it's even easier. You can just ask it to add certain custom fields in here, like manage profile, like this, my profile. We can simply pop it all in here. My profile, bro, like a few things you want to keep up here and so forth. But yeah. So if we go to for employers, and then in here we go to billing, you can see like this is an admin. Okay. And this admin can go inside of here. And now in real time, I'm going to show you, look, if we go ahead and make this a member. Now a member, member can't post. Look at that. If I change him to a recruiter, boom. Now if I go over here, look at that. If I go over to an admin now, you should see that billing. Hey, that's pretty slick, guys. That's true. Is it complete project or just half? No, this is complete, guys. Like that's pretty damn awesome. Right, like I said, some of the features, what I've done is I've added them inside of the build, which I've given you in the description. You just need to literally fill it out and you'll get access to the full, all of this stuff. But yeah, you guys can see for yourselves. That's how we have role-based access, multi-tenant, so you can have as many tenants as you want. And the notifications, let's do a little demo of that right now. So if there are some jobs, so in this case, like intern software engineering, okay? So let's do Jobly, my application. So actually we've got the seed file. So let's do the seed again. So job posting status. Which one did I do the seeding on? It was the one with Opus. Okay, so let's just do a new agent. Give me the seed commands to clear and set up new seed data. And then what I'll do is in the meantime, I'll get my users details to seed. So I'll do it for my main user, get their user ID, pop it in here, boom. Get the organization that user is in, which is Papa Fam. Let's go here, organization, and then pop this in. So we can run pm run clear. And then we can go ahead and do this. Where is it? Oh, so it's giving me a whole command here. But in this case, we want to run clear first. And to be fair, the scripts I've given you are better than these. My scripts actually give you a bit of feedback. Oh, not this, sorry. The seed update, the seed copy paste with this. I also wanted to fix these bugs, which it did not fix. So interestingly enough, it did not. Notification is user work. So what we can do is switch to Opus sometimes if it's being a bit stupid. So I can say Opus fix that. And now Opus will do a bit more of a heavy scan. And now we can see. No, I didn't want it to do that. So no. Give me the command with these values. And then I can actually rewind it. So yeah, it gets rid of what it just did. So here we are. Yeah. Let's go here. npm run seed clear. And then we seed the user. Now that user should be seeded correctly, as well as other stuff. So just do a hard refresh in your browser. Let me rerun that again. Okay, so it's working out. Sometimes we just need to force it, right? So now we can see not this user, it was actually this user. Let's go to my profile. And it did not seed for this profile. Oh, it's because we didn't onboard. So we can say skip for now. Okay, now we should do it. Sorry, my bad. Let's give it a try now. Go back to the user. So the seeding for the profile data. Oh yeah, there you go. So, but there we got a bit of a UI bug here. So for the work experience, so we can simply give that. Start a new agent, say fix UI bug. So a couple of things here. We've got some documents, which now is fine. Let's just upload the test one for now. I'm going to give the Papa Fam logo. Stanford. There we go. Save. About. Okay. And naturally, or second entry looks fine. So Opus will find that. That's a very easy bug for it to fix. And then while that's happening, let's just check something else. So if we do customer success management, or let's do the intern. So the intern one. So this intern role, right? Active. See, boom. Firstly, row time. Amazing stuff. Intern software. Let's just say I'm the best. I'm the best. And we should really see the profile information here. So I have it on the final build. That's the case. But if we click review and submit. Oh no, it does it. No, nice. I spoke too soon. So it says it's going to send you all of this plus I'm the best. Okay, so it's like this one click sign upload, confirm and apply. Nice, okay. And then boom, seed user. Wait, no, that's different. Okay, so it's not sorting by the most recent is what I believe is happening here. So I'm the best seed user. So seed user. Oh, okay. So it's because the profile data would have made it seed user. Interesting. No, so that was actually wrong. So interesting enough, that did go through correctly. If we click on view profile, we can see, but the seed example is not what this is. So we can be like the application flow failed. So you see, like, it's very important that you test this stuff out. And again, like I'm running in this build, to be fair. So also when we submitted the application or the profile resume for the job, the names and some of the fields are not matching up correctly. Fix this. So that UI is smooth. Yeah, dude, the actual final one that we did in this one is super nice. Like this one is really, really nice. And I've given you the code for that one. So but the candidate profile shows seed user with different details, application submission correctly passing or reading the profile data. Let me investigate the flow. So primary examples of just debugging flows, right? And then in this case, you know, like application come through. Let's see here as well. Notification didn't come through. So the notification did not work. So let's firstly see if the notification, oh, maybe because I was on the page, perhaps. But if we go here, so the notification one didn't do very well, to be fair. And this is another thing, right? I find if you're going to give very big tasks like this, so like this one right here, it can be like notifications aren't working when applying for a job. Also can't see bell icon in the user B2C header. Are you into draws hype instead of modals? I prefer modals, to be fair. Definitely getting you to demo my platform when it's ready based on the build line. I believe it's been out awesome stuff, dude. Absolutely. So let's have a look. So you guys can see, well, I mean, so I can see the two notifications not created on apply. The wiring looks create, but the issue is likely this database was just reseeded clearing all day. Oh, okay, yeah. It was my fault because we reseeded. The seed itself broke stuff. So if you did the full flow, it would have actually worked, except for the bell icon that doesn't show. Yeah. There are multiple B2C with inline headers. So again, look, that's a very bad pattern there. So this is where I would actually be checking that stuff, right? So right now on a live build, because I was trying to rebuild, I think what we do next time is we actually build from scratch together. I think that would be like the ultimate goal here. So I think we've learned a lesson here for episode 2, or vibe code with me the correct way, or, you know, AI software engineer with me the correct way. But typically when you're reviewing the code itself, like you see, if I type in header, I don't really see, I can see a page header now, but I mean, I think this was just added as well 1 hour ago. No, see, this page header is not being used everywhere. So it should be consistently being used everywhere. So if we typed in header here, the fact is we have lots of different, no, these are all for the page. Yeah, so you see how we have different pages, headers. This is wrong. Shouldn't be having that. It should be like a better file structure approach. So a couple of things, obviously we rushed through today, but the overall learning is there. Let's do Command D to bring our agent view back. Command B to hide that. Command J to hide that. And then make this a bit bigger. Get out of the review flow. It's kind of confusing for now. And then we can see work experience UI bug. So now let's have a look at how it was fixing it. So the profile page uses user from Clerk directly. So it always shows the real user. The candidate profile card gets its users table in Convex, which has stale data. The users table is supposed to be synced via Clerk Webhooks, but the data is out of sync. And that has only happened because of me seeding it. So seeding it was, yeah, that was the bit that broke it. Obviously, naturally, that can happen, right? But then what you would do is you would just update your seed. So if you ever did seed, it would do it the correct adjustments and so forth. So this is really easy stuff to fix, to be honest. It's not really not hard stuff to do. If we go back to application, so problem 1, number of material notification appearing. Here's what I fixed. There we go. Let's have a look. Hey, look at that. New application for intern software engineering. So if we click it, dashboard. Hey, that's it. Yep, that's correct. Took us there. And then this is actually my own application. So if we click on accepted, so that then your application to intern was accepted. And that's actually very correct because we're both the candidate plus the person. So that's why we see it. And my applications, we can click it and this was the position, right? Now, obviously here we've just got, your application accepted, but in the actual final build, if you were to look at your applications flow, I've done a bunch of examples here in that one where it showed your application. So this is the recruiter side, sorry. If we went to our browse jobs applications, here you can see, look, for example, timeline, salary, your cover letter, the view, the job posting itself. And you can see like, okay, we were accepted for this one and so forth. Obviously, I'm being very extreme with going ahead and demoing, and no one's going to have this many, you tend to maybe actually get this many jobs, but yeah, we're obviously being extreme with it. Cohen says, more business related question. I was asked to take upon a CTO role of startups where equity, no salary, no full-time, obviously, but only 50% shares. What percentage would you strive for? It's a very broad question, dude. I would say this is a topic for the community side of things. But like I said, what I'd recommend, because these questions are valid, but they're big topics that I dive into on coaching instead. So I'd recommend, like I said, sign up to get the code for free, and then you get added to the wait list. When we launch the community, jump in, and then in one of the weekly calls, I'll be happy to answer this out, because we get obviously CTO requests a lot. Tends to happen, yeah, when people see me build stuff. So there we have it. So if we go to the work experience UI, to fix it, users needs to resave their profile on the profile page. So in order to fix that now, what we do is if we go over to my profile, we save the profile now. There you go. So now it was pulling from Convex, which is actually correct. And that makes sense because of the ways Convex works. That's awesome. So now if we go to here, Papa Farm, if I go to my recruiter dashboard on this one. So look, you see how this is what's really cool, right? This member is only part of one organization. This member, however, part of two organizations. So you could be a recruiter for different companies at this point as well, right? And again, each one has its own billing and everything. So that is really, really powerful, guys. Okay. Yoni says the important bit, learning. Nice. 100%, dude. Couldn't agree more. So in this case, I hope you guys enjoyed that style. Let me know right now. Did you prefer this style of coding tutorial versus my previous style? Was it more, useful in the age of AI? If it was, then do me a favor, destroy the thumbs up button, like this video. Someone at the door always at this point. But yeah, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And I'll give you a quick run through of the entire build. I have no idea who's at the door right now. It's always when I'm live. I don't know. It's interesting. Let me go ahead and do it the only way we know how to do it. There we go. So, of course, this is what we came with today, right? And again, like the UI, different from this because of the someone's ringing the doorbell. Anyway, this is very different because we clearly have the actual live. Sorry guys, it jarred me off, threw me off. We go to 3001. This is available inside the code base right now. So if you guys go over to the code base, the link in the description, you can sign up to the entire video, get access to the entire GitHub repo, and you can go ahead and see all of everything that we demoed today. So you'll get access to this entire code base. But the main true learning experience in these kind of builds now that I want to go ahead and showcase is how to go ahead and apply AI practices, all the best things like, context management, how to efficiently leverage LLMs inside of your favorite IDE, for example, do it the right way, and also show you proper examples of going from the beginning of an app idea all the way to an implementation side of things, right? In future builds, we can go ahead and deploy, we can do a bunch of stuff. I think what we're going to do in future builds is actually go ahead and start the idea from scratch. So this time we actually built this beforehand. So that way we had a base, but I think it'll be really handy to literally start with just an idea and then go ahead and build up from there. I think that would be absolutely incredible. So let me know in the comments down below by just literally dropping a comment, smashing the thumbs up button. And as always, guys, it's your boy Sunny, aka Papa React, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. That threw me off so much, the door. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Ciao.